Hi, everybody that's coming to join us.
Hello, good morning, everyone.
Good
Or
evening,
or good
everyone.
evening, everyone.
Perfect. Just going to mute everybody. And cool, very exciting. We've got loads of people signed up for this, so it's going to be really good. We're really thrilled at everybody that's coming to join us. So that's kind of really cool. Cool. So we're just going to have everybody kind of popping in at the moment, and then we can kind of get started. So where's me that? Oh, Vanessa Hunter. Perfect. So hi, Leanne. Hi, Carmen. Can you see people on the side text us as well?
Yes, I can. Hi, guys. How are you?
Just give us a wave if you're there. I've just got you all on mute at the moment, or just going to start to put everybody on mute at the moment. And what we'll do is, morning, Marielle, thank you. Good to see you. So this talk, we've been wanting to do this. I've been wanting to do this, and obviously I know Texas is really knowledgeable about laser tattoo removal, but why he's lovely is he's also really knowledgeable and open about combining treatments and knowledgeable and using saline tattoo removal. I think you've used other types of removal as well, Texas, haven't you?
So yeah, I've done Saline. I've done some other stuff that was kind of rogue in the past, so we don't even want to talk about that. But because when we're in this industry for so long, sometimes we do things that we're like, oh, that was not so great.
Shouldn't have done
that
that. So just to let you all know, the talk that we've got some really interesting points and topics to be covering as we talk everything through. The whole video is going to be available on replay afterwards. So you're going to be able to come back and watch it. Don't worry about taking notes if you want to, today, because me and Texas are going to be sharing the video in different places. So everybody that's had access to this video, everybody that signed up for this video and the wider world will be able to listen to us talking around. So what I just wanted to quickly do, if you're not that familiar with the Zoom process, don't know whether you're on a mobile or on a laptop, there's a chat. What you should be seeing is me and Texas in a bigger screen and you guys just in little screens on the side. Is that what you can all see? Great, I'm seeing some people nodding, thank you. This is why it's always really good to see people. I'm not one of these presenters that likes to just talk to a camera. So we've got the chat button at the bottom. The chat button it's only going to come to me. I'm the only person that's going to see what you put in the comments. So if you've got any questions or anything during the meeting, do just pop them into chat. We'll have a free Q&A at the end where we can kind of go wild and chat as much as you like. Texas has got a brand new puppy, haven't you?
I do. Miss Mimi. She's so fabulous, guys. She's wonderful. We just got her on Saturday. So we got a vet appointment at 1 p.m. our time. So we've got to get up there. But yeah, we got 2 hours to play and talk about.
Exactly. And I'm kind of free on time. So we'll just kind of see how it all goes.
Yeah.
And so ask questions during the presentation. If you want to ask any questions, let me just get the chat up so I can actually see if people are saying anything. That's brilliant. And obviously laser tattoo removal and non-laser tattoo removal can be used on body tattoos, but this whole meeting is all going to be focused on cosmetic tattoos, okay? And the best, Texas, we're going to do some introductions in a second. But if ever you need to talk to Texas afterwards, his Instagram is
at Texas De La Rosa. Super easy. I think if you just put that in, and I was let Lisa know that I have a link tree on my Instagram. So if you go to my bio and my Instagram at Texas De La Rosa, all of my information for my school, for Beauty Cosmetic Institute, for CTP, which is Cosmetic Tattoo Professionals. That's my my personal group that I have started for PMU help and guidance in Facebook. Hopefully you're all members, and if you're not, please join. And then we also have an Instagram as well, but I'm very easy to find, so all the information's on Instagram. I also, if you want to go to texasdelarosa.com, my website has everything on there too as well.
Perfect. And if you don't know me, I'm Lisa, but I don't have a private page. I keep my private stuff private.
There you go.
But I'm Botched Ink at Botched Ink. It's really easy to find me, and that's a great way to find us on chat and everything like that. So who are we? Right?
Well, Lisa, you go. I think Lisa, who wants to go? I think Lisa should go first, right? I mean, we want to know who you are.
Thank you. I'm Lisa Henning. I'm the owner and developer of Botched Ink tattoo removal solution. It's a saline based tattoo removal solution. Now, I've been in the industry since 2012, been doing saline and Rejuve. I trained in some really awful harsh ones, over the years, and obviously know the different types of saline. I played around with making my own type of saline for a little bit, and then went ahead I was also a distributor for a brand. I was actually the UK distributor for A+ Ocean. You American and Canadian guys would know that brand. So I've used A+ Ocean. I've also used Lift. So it was actually knowing those products and knowing those products well that helped me know what I needed to do to improve and then come into Botched Ink. And we'll talk a little bit more later about all the training, because obviously we've got our own training class and stuff. So that's me, been in the industry for years, tried lots of different things. I'm one of these people that asks questions. I'm always asking questions. So that's how come I get to figure out a lot of stuff. I'm one of these people that big picture thinking, likes to see all the angles and everything. And then I come up with what I think. So that's me. Thank you.
Well, hello, everybody. My name is Texas De La Rosa. I am a makeup artist. I've been in the beauty industry for 22 years. That turned into permanent makeup artist, 16 years plus in PMU. And then I got into medical aesthetics and laser 9 years ago. So so I've been doing removals. I also do saline removal as well. So I've been doing that, and I've also dabbled in some other things. My background is, again, just really in the beauty industry, but I started getting into more medical again in Texas 9 years ago, and that kind of got me going and really being able to help people. And like Lisa said, I really do believe that there is a huge divide between artists nowadays, and we need to combine this stuff. We need to bring it together. I think that there's so many people that are screaming laser, laser, and then there's people screaming saline, saline, and then you realize that we use them in tandem, and I use them in my clinic both. And when Lisa reached out to me in last year, we really got to talking, and I love how thorough that Lisa is, and how educated and how willing she is to speak on this subject, because I think that there's so many people in our industry that have this kind of taboo thing about it, and there shouldn't be, because again, if we're at the end of the day, when Lisa and I were talking about everything and going through this, we decided that the most important thing is the client. You know, they're the ones that come to us as professionals and want us to help them, whether it be removal, whether it be lightening something to get a better color, or that maybe the shape or whatever. But the bottom line is to help people. And that's why I actually got into this industry in the very beginning of my career, was to help people. And so that's where we're at now. And using both modalities is such an amazing thing, and especially if you can learn to do them both, or find someone that's reputable as a laser person if you can't do that in your area. It's just so important. So
I mean, the thing with Saline, the thing with non-laser tattoo removal, I think we're the first non-laser tattoo removal brand that has courted talking to laser technicians.
you're definitely the first person who's reached out to me, and I know.
And
So
I mean, the thing is, advanced beauty treatments, of which tattoo removal is, even though it's not really a beauty treatment, so many people now are combining. If something's pretty simple, if something doesn't take much work, you're fine sticking to the one thing, be it saline tattoo removal, be it laser tattoo removal. We were talking yesterday quickly about how many sessions does it take to remove pretty barely in pigment that's pretty fairly superficial. We were both kind of going 1 or 2 sessions. If it's a good brow, 1 or 2 sessions can do enough to lift that color out. But when you've got historic pigment in over the years, and faded pigment and old pigment, and we'll talk a bit more about that later, you're gonna, so many advanced beauty treatments combine treatments, don't they, now, like radio frequency and microneedling. Yeah, aren't we doing microneedling and laser, you know? But here's, we'll talk some facts shortly, but when you kind of think about it, here's the one that I kind of put a lower figure and Texas thought it was higher. So please, in the chat comments, please say, but I reckon, we reckon 20 to 30% of permanent makeup technicians are trained in some form of non-laser tattoo removal. Yeah. Now, whether they're trained in it or whether they do it are 2 different things, because so many people have taken a removal training and then go, don't like that. Yeah.
And then we were also talking about how there's lots of and I just don't want to say it in an ugly way, but there are a lot of uncredible removal courses out there that we're seeing now, because everyone has decided that they've taken one course from one company and then they're now a trainer themselves without getting permission or what have you. So there's a lot of holes being people are they're falling through the cracks, and there's a lot of people that are hearing parts of what they need to know to do removal safely for the client. And that's why, again, we wanted to talk about this too, because there is a huge difference in knowing someone who is, again, like a founder of a product like Lisa, and someone that has 9 years experience doing laser and has done and is actually specialized in what I remove, because many people in my career don't do what I do. So we really want to drive that home today, that, we're doing this to educate you guys on what it is that, is out there, and just to be a little bit more kind of like, don't just go buy that $10 course, because it may be nothing that really you can use or do, or you could hurt somebody.
Well, don't we all moan at the moment about permanent makeup and microblading training being a 2-day class or a 1-day class? Yeah. Or you're coming away thinking you know everything and finding out that you don't. Well, why would tattoo removal be greatly different? There's still skills and understanding, clearly not so long, because you have these basic skills and we're just adding to your knowledge. But to just do a 1 or 2 hour online course for tattoo removal is only going to teach you how to do it. That's not going to teach you how to make it work. And it's like for you, Texas, with laser, how do you find that with the training? What do they kind of get taught in the training?
So let me tell you, my last student that was in for our class in October was actually she had a medical background, and my class she said was hard, and she had a medical background. So again, just the vocabulary, learning the vocabulary of laser is a feat in itself. I mean, understanding what you're talking about. Again, you can't just regurgitate what you hear when it becomes to these medical devices and doing removals. You have to know what you're talking about. You can't just, fly through it and skim through and get a Cliff's Notes. So it's quite difficult. We give our students, plenty of time and to get all the education down through the didactics with our education at my school. And we send videos and we send information, and again the vocabulary. I drive that home to my students, because you get a test when you come in, and if you don't understand it, guess what, guys, it's not a good thing. So yeah, it's quite interesting. But we do have it's a 2-day full hands-on, but we do give all of our students all of that information first. So I tell people it's going to take a long time. It took many years for me to get as comfortable with removals with laser as I did, because again, back when I started doing this stuff, nobody was doing it in my area. I had 1 or 2 people that I could look up to as mentors, but that was it. So it was very difficult. So what we do is very specialized. And so,
and then when you think about it, we were just kind of saying that 20 to 30% of permanent makeup technicians have been trained in some kind of removal. Whether they do it or not is a different matter. But then I kind of put forward that only 1 to 2% of permanent makeup technicians are actually doing laser.
Yeah, if that. I mean, there's not a huge market of it. I know that in my area, and I'm in Austin, Texas area, my clinic's in Buda. I know that I am the only person that specializes in this in my surrounding area. So I don't know anybody else that does what I do.
So when you think that most permanent makeup removal is performed by permanent makeup technicians as we stand at the moment, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. However, if you look on all the Facebook groups, everybody's saying, oh, that needs laser, that needs laser, that needs laser. But get this, most laser technicians don't do permanent makeup removal.
Unfortunately, no, they don't. And that's why I thought it was such an importance for me to put this class together last year. It took me almost, people just think I whipped this class out. It took me almost 3 years to build this class, because I actually have case studies from my removal clients that I show in this class. And it's so vital that you see what happened each stage of the way. And it's not as easy of a process as you think. I mean, you get a lot of information, but then, it's like, oh, okay, well, what now? How do you apply it? Like you said,
it's like Pamela's just saying on chat that she's been doing non-laser for about 4 years, but she's also working with a laser tech. Now, this is kind of what we're talking about. This whole class, this whole thing today is about trying to educate that let's keep permanent makeup removal. Okay, we need to combine treatments if someone's got historic, old, really compacted pigment, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. But basically, not every laser technician can actually remove permanent makeup. They've not been trained to do it. And the fact of the matter is, unless a client wants to let their pigment totally fade out, or they're happy to wait for their pigment to naturally fade out over several years before them letting you top it up, every client that you do work on is going to need removal at some point in their story.
This is something
so
that
why do we keep on sending the permanent makeup clients that you've been working on for years to a laser tech? You say, I can't do removal on that, I'm going to have to send you to a laser tech. But then unless you know a laser tech,
Yeah, this was something we definitely had to talk about yesterday because
Uh-huh.
you absolutely need to find someone that understands the facial tissue and just how different that it is, or like the scalp if you're doing removal for SMP scalp pigmentation. Yeah, it's very interesting. I talked to Lisa about yesterday. I had a client that came in for removal from laser from another company that said they could remove it and that they specialized in microblading removal. And the first session that she had, her pigment turned red. Well, all of us PMU artists understand that, why would it turn red? Because of those undertones in the actual pigments and what's going on. But the laser tech that was working with her didn't understand and goes, whoa, it was red. And then when she came back, she was like, yeah, what are you going to do to fix this? And he didn't know. He said, well,
Yeah.
I'm going to try this other thing and we'll see what we can do. And she said, whoa, 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 you're going to try something on my face? No, you're not.
And
She's like,
charge me.
yeah, and charge you. And so and see if it works. And so she wound up leaving and finding me. And I'm so thankful that she
Mhm.
did because now we've got her brows off actually now. But the thing is, it is something that's so vital that you find someone that's reputable and that understands the facial tissue, because working on body art is completely different because it's different tissue and they're using different machines, different needles, different
Different
configurations,
pigments.
different pigments
Uh-huh.
for those, and it is a difference. So
So when we're looking at, I mean, my whole thing with removal, and this is why I wanted to have this chat with Texas and with you guys. My whole thing with removal is, let's draw a line under keeping on saturating that skin with more and more and more pigment. Let's draw a line under it and start to educate the clients that at some point they need to have removal. If you're working on brand new, fresh skin, and you've got that opportunity to give that client their first permanent makeup brows or their first microblading, and you're using pigments, you're probably doing ombre brows and pixel brows, all that beautiful fine work that technicians are now able to do. Why not now explain to that client that to maintain this look over the years, every now and then we're going to need to do a session or two of removal. Now, without being funny, that removal could be botched ink, that removal could be laser. Yeah. Whatever removal solution you use must cause minimum skin damage, because we really want, thank you, Tracy, we really want clients to understand that you can't keep on packing in that pigment. So in that drawing the line, we now need to understand that the amount of clients that are coming to see us that have got heavily compacted skin, and it's these clients with a heavily compacted skin that you aren't going to, I mean, clearly we love working on clients. Clearly we love doing removal treatments, but I really like to think that we need to do 2, 3, potentially 4 removal treatments before adding in new pigment. If you're having to do 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 removal sessions, that's going to take them 2 years for that poor client.
mhm. Yeah, absolutely.
So I really think, we need to make a choice in our industry now. Do we keep on putting in more pigment, or do we get clients onto a maintenance program?
And that right there is one of the kickers, guys, is that we really need to be more vocal with this when we are doing our consultations with our clients and letting them understand that, again, and the analogy that I love to tell my clients is the cup runneth over. You have filled and filled if you've been getting 20 years of PMU on your brows, and then they come in and they all say, I want to touch up, right? We hear that, I want to touch up. And you're like, baby, that is way too much stuff going on in there. There's blue, there's pink, there's orange, there's microblading strokes, and then there's nano strokes that have been in there. And so we got to be honest and tell them, if we want to get them an aesthetically looking brow or something like that, then they're going to need removal. They got to get rid of some of that color so that we can put something in that's going to look aesthetically pretty for them. And I think that that's what we have to drive home to these clients, is letting them know that they're there for an aesthetic look. You know, they want to look better, you know, but if we're putting something on them, and so many new artists just do this, and we see it in all the groups, you know, where they'll say, is this person okay for me to do brows? And then there's someone saying, yeah, just throw orange on it, throw this color on it. And we know that that doesn't work after a while, guys. We know that there are color corrections that we're seeing companies, even newer companies, are coming out with all these color corrective, you know, treatments. But what happens when there's so much pigment in that skin that it won't accept any of the new pigment,
or
that
particularly, and we'll expand on this shortly, with the new style of pigments that we have out at the moment. We're not really going to get into brand names with this discussion, but you know, the organic pigments, the hybrid pigments, the ones that fly into the skin that allow you to do all the pixel brows and ombre brows and super fine hair strokes. Here we've got carbon black. That's the black that's allowing the color density so easily. The trouble with that carbon black is that's actually tattoo pigments, right? Well, they're all tattoo pigment, but that's actually a pigment that's going to stay in your skin forever. Yeah. If that pigment is still in your skin a year or two down the line, that's it. You've got that now. That pigment's going to be in you. Oh, Linda, who's making faces? Is that to do with that? Sorry. Sorry. So it's a mistake to say to your clients when they come back a year or two down the line and they've got grey brows, that I can't actually do a top up on them yet. You're going to have to come back in a year or so, let them fade more. Well, babe, they're not going to fade more. Yeah. So what I'm seeing a lot of technicians doing at the moment with some of the new pigments, like I was talking about, they're tattooing in the bright orange colors and stuff like that. And they are only tattooing in the orange. Okay. Now that's the longevity of that, we don't yet know, because this is kind of fairly new. But it is an absolute mistake to tattoo back in any more pigment that's got black in it, because you're now putting even more black into the skin, you know, which is only going to leave another problem later down the line. But here's the thing, isn't black the easiest color to remove, Texas?
Absolutely, 100%. It is.
For laser and non-laser. You have to keep on hearing, though, when I just say, when I'm saying non-laser, I do mean botched ink, by the way. We'll talk about pigments, different types of stuff shortly, but most clients are unaware of the removal things. So pop into comments. I know Tracy was saying that she explains every time to her clients that they're going to need removal at some point. It's kind of a really cool thing to start getting into the habit of doing. If someone doesn't actually understand that they're going to need to have removal, it's not going to fade fully, then they might actually go, oh my God, am I actually having a tattoo? That might not be right for me. Hey, good decision then. You know, it's a tattoo that we're doing on people's faces. We've kind of fallen into the trap of people not realizing it's a tattoo.
Yeah, I think that a lot of that also comes with the word semi-permanent, where we're using that now so loosely because it does sound real attractive to a client. Oh, I can get this semi-permanent tattoo that's going to go away. But and I'm going to say this because I was doing your course. There is a very, very, very cool slide that it is in the Botched course that talks about that burn guy that had burned his hand in the pigment. There is a picture of pigment that looks like it's completely faded and old on this person's hand, and then they got a burn and that pigment looks bright, brand new, where the skin had been singed off. And you said it was on social media for a while.
Yeah, it was wild on so. And what's wicked with that story, I managed to find, I haven't popped it in the course, but I managed to find what happened with this guy. He had a picture of a blue rose tattoo on his hand. If you actually Google blue rose tattoo hand burn, you might actually find the pictures. And what actually happened when it healed is so much inflammation that kind of happened that a patch in the middle of the tattoo had actually disappeared. So even though it looked perfect, all the inflammation and irritation caused by that burn caused some of the tattoo to come out.
Yeah.
And that kind of brings me on to the whole thing. Well, it doesn't actually, but it's kind of moving on to training.
Yeah, well, the reason I wanted to talk about that is because I think it's fascinating that people don't understand that, because that happens with our brows, that happens with our lips, that happens with eyes. You know, when there's still color, we got to remember that there are layers of skin, and not going into that in a broad, you know, spectrum of topic, but just layers of skin that we're working on and where you're putting pigment in. And then also we're now dealing with multiple artists sometimes, you know, because there's so many PMU artists now that we're having, oh, I had this top up with this person, I had a top up with that person 2 years ago, then it was like 10 years ago this. So now you've got all these different layers, and we don't know how deep that those layers are going, because we don't know. And you know that most of the artists aren't telling their clients what they're using on them either. So is it an inorganic or is it an organic pigment? They don't know. The client doesn't know. They never know. So I always educate my clients. I tell them what I'm using. I tell them why I'm using it. I treat every single client that comes into my facility like they're a student. And so that they are educated, so that if something happens to me, and say I move or they move or something, that they're educated enough to know what to ask the next person that they go to.
Well, I've even had in the past artists actually ringing me up. When I moved from Brighton to Manchester in the UK, I actually, my clients went to another technician, and those technicians, I actually fully gave them permission to ask me what colours I was using, you know? Yeah. So here's the thing, coming on to training, laser tattoo removal training doesn't typically cover permanent makeup removal. As manufacturers, now you were telling me about this, Texas, and it's interesting, manufacturers haven't done the testing or something.
So there aren't any case studies. So I'll give you a prime example. Actually, my student from October, we'll go back to her, again, with her medical background and her understanding skin and that sort of thing. She bought a laser from one of our companies, and I'm very well versed in laser companies because I actually did work in a laser facility, laser school. So we actually taught with many different brands of laser. And what I learned from the years of working there is that those, and this is crazy, guys, and think about this, this is going to blow your mind. These people that come in that are the sales people for these lasers sometimes don't even know how to work their laser. And it's blows my mind that they're coming in and selling these things, these $80,000, $100,000, $300,000 devices, and they don't know how to use them. Prime example, again, my student bought a laser. She bought the laser because it was the exact laser that I have in my facility. And guess what? Her rep taught her bare bone basic, what was in the manual, and there was nothing about PMU in it. And she bought it specifically for PMU. Now, granted, she's going to be doing body work with it as well, because that's what we do, but that's what my course teaches. But it's so bizarre to me that these companies don't have the case studies. And I don't know if it's whether insurance.
Is that machine indicated for permanent makeup removal, or are you using it off-label?
Well, I think everything I do is off label, because I mean, they know it can, they know it can do it. But I mean, again, they don't have the case studies. They haven't spent the years that I've spent and having all of these people, whether it be lips, brows. I mean, guys, I laser lips all the time, and people are like, don't do it, it's going to turn black. Well, we'll talk about that later, why. But let me tell you, it can be done. But again, the person needs to be educated, and they have to understand what they're doing. And most laser companies don't teach that.
No, well, there's a laser company in the UK that I met when I did Pro Beauty North that come up. It's a really well-known laser company that come up to me and said, oh, we're now teaching permanent makeup removal. So I thought, oh, are you now? Right.
Well, good. Somebody needs to.
Class.
I can't teach everybody.
So I actually asked him a question. I can't actually remember what the question was, but it was about pigments. And it's quite a fundamental permanent makeup. Oh, that was it, about iron oxides and organic pigments and hybrid pigments. They didn't know the difference. How the freaking hell? And they're teaching a masterclass on permanent makeup removal. I'm actually going to be talking to the lady, if she'll talk to me.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, that's why I put my class together. I decided last year that I was seeing so many people that were offering this service and doing it unsafely, meaning they don't know what they're
Mhm.
doing. And you know, I always tell people, stay in your lane, man. You know, if you don't know something, don't just go and dabble on someone's
So
face, you
coming
know.
back to the whole thing, why in all the Facebook groups is everyone saying go and send them for laser, go and send them for laser,
I
when
will
we're
say,
acknowledging and sharing? Go
yeah,
on.
I know. I will say that I think that, and I don't want to toot my own horn, but I think me spouting from the top of the mountaintops for the last, you know, years in the groups and stuff, I've been saying laser, and I think that there's a lot of people now that are trying to learn it, but
Yeah,
they don't.
yes, but we still have that tiny percentage
Oh
of
yeah,
permanent makeup technicians actually doing it. And if you are an industry, I've got no problem, right? If you're an industry professional, as in one of us, right, and you know laser, then let's send to you if we want to, need to. Yeah. What my beef about is sending it to a laser technician who has no knowledge of permanent makeup and has
yeah.
had no training about permanent makeup.
And that is a
And
problem. Yeah,
yeah.
that's a problem, because it's the same as if you were sending someone to do saline or non-laser removal and someone didn't know, they watched YouTube. You know, your client doesn't want to
Mhm.
hear this. They want to know that you understand, you can walk the walk, you can talk the talk. And that's what's so
Mhm.
vital. Again, that's why I decided to put my course together. And, you know, I think it's just so important that the industry understands what they're doing, you know?
So coming back to now non-laser, right? Most non-laser tattoo removal solutions were developed for permanent makeup removal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your Rejuve, your Lift, your A Plus Ocean, your Botched Ink, your Undo, your Fee, you know, they were all kind of developed for permanent makeup removal. They were developed for us as permanent makeup and microblading technicians to do. So the thing with your non-laser products is the wild variety of the harshness and gentleness and how they actually work. I mean, some of them remove fresh mistakes only. So that what I'm saying with a fresh mistake only is that's typically a glycolic product that you can probably buy off of Amazon, right?
Yeah.
Like that BioTouch, they do a glycolic product that is for fresh tattoo removal. So what you're doing when you're tattooing in glycolic to do a tattoo removal is you're essentially doing a mini skin peel on that tattoo, and the inflammation and irritation of that is actually removing the tattoo. So if you're working quite superficially on the skin, then it's not going to be too bad. But if you're going to have to work quite deeply on the skin, that's going to cause quite a lot of inflammation and long healing. Texas, you know, remember what I just said to you? I'm just going to have to quickly go to the door. I'm just going
That's
to, can
okay,
I
guys.
leave you have the floor for a second?
Yes, yes, yes. So she has to take a little parcel. So we were talking
Oh,
about
shush.
that yesterday, because basically what happens is there are so many different products out there now. We really wanted to talk about what Botched Ink had and what's different. And I will say, just from taking her course, it's I've taken courses, I've taken lots of them, and let me tell you guys, it is a really, really thorough course. And again, shameless plug, but it is a great course, and I love education. Anyone that knows me, do y'all, anyone know me? Do y'all wave your hands if you know who I am? If you see me on social, see me on the groups, you know, guys, I'm no BS, right? I'm not bought by anybody. So everybody is equal in my world when it comes to when I put myself with someone. And with Lisa, I just really appreciated her knowledge of what she was teaching, how thorough the class was, how involved it was, and that it wasn't this just kind of thrown together situation. And so it's really about educating the industry and about getting people to know what and why this product is different, because it is very, very very different. And that was what was so cool to me, was to see this, because I take CE classes, continual education classes, annually. And I have since I've been in my PMU career. I always take at least 2 classes a year, and I don't care what they are, who they are. I mean, I may already know how to do it. I just took Mary Richardson's nano class last year, already did nano, but I did it anyways, because we got to keep learning, right? We got to keep learning and building ourselves. So in taking this course, if you've already taken another course from another company, I highly recommend taking this one, because you will learn how this product is different. And there's just little tidbits that you're going to go, oh, okay, that makes this, that much better for the client. So there you go.
And it's the whole thing of making sense. I mean, saline tattoo removal in the permanent makeup world is the most known and the most accepted as being gentle, but actually it can actually be quite a harsh, horrible, uncomfortable treatment, which isn't too nice.
What I thought was really crazy, just for this, all of you people know where some of the first people, and it was nuts, because I actually knew this before I took your course, but it reminded me that McDonald's salt was one of the first things.
That's what I was taught with.
I see some people not nodding. Can you believe it? People were going and stealing the McDonald's salts after they got their burger. I need 27 salts.
That makes such a professional treatment.
What are you doing? That is crazy.
But then you've got your saline, your acids and your alkaline products. And obviously when you're working with acid and alkaline, then again, my whole thing on understanding non-laser tattoo removal solutions is most non-laser tattoo removal solutions cause inflammation and irritation to the skin to remove the tattoo. Just think, you're tattooing in acid, you're tattooing in alkaline, you're tattooing in salt that typically makes the skin get really wet. Like it would on a joint of pork fat.
Yeah, it pulls moisture,
pulls water up, osmosis. Yeah. But I developed botched ink specifically to be elevated from that. So botched ink doesn't cause the wetness. Botched ink doesn't cause inflammation and irritation. What I kind of wanted to say, and we'll say this again quickly in a minute. I didn't want this Zoom to be a sales pitch for botched ink, although clearly I do. But I'm actually doing an additional Zoom next Monday called the Expert Guide to Saline Tattoo Removal. So if you actually want me to tell you the nitty-gritty about the saline tattoo removal industry and exactly uncensored why botched ink is different and all that, come on to that Zoom. If you go on to the botched ink Instagram, you'll see, again, I've got botchedink.info. Thank you, Vanessa. Botchedink.info. That's my link tree thingy. And you can sign up for the Expert Guide to Saline Tattoo Removal, because the saline tattoo removal industry has blown up, and not in a good way. When you have saline tattoo removal classes for $10 in the US, I mean, Christ's sake, when you've got saline tattoo removal courses in the UK for £99, plus submit 3 case studies, but also when you then consider, and this is the bit that Texas said earlier, the majority of it's not fair to say that, a big number of technicians in our industry take one class and they're done in a treatment, don't they? Yeah. And if you didn't happen to pick a really good class, but you actually think it's good because it was all razzmatazz and jazzy, you're not going to know what you didn't get to hear. And then one of the things that I think is going really wrong with the saline tattoo removal industry, hold on, I'll rephrase, with the non-laser tattoo removal industry, is literally in the last couple of years, training, as in anybody setting up as a trainer has exploded. So the quality of training's gone down, but also I have to say the quality of some of the products that are just being developed willy-nilly has really gone down. So I think what's going to happen in the future for tattoo removal is non-laser tattoo removal is people are going to keep on saying it don't work.
Yeah.
And the only reason they're saying it don't work is because they didn't have the best training and they didn't use the best product. And it's the same for Texas with laser, where you've now got uneducated laser techs experimenting with laser on permanent makeup.
It's very much, I think, and I don't know, and I was talking to one of my colleagues about this. I don't know if it's been the since COVID, because 2020, obviously there was nothing really going on, so a lot of training online happened, right? And so then started, I don't know, I feel like there was a whole slew of new artists that popped out in the industry in the last couple of years that did everything online, but didn't maybe choose the right educators, didn't find the right classes, didn't get enough information, and didn't get enough hands-on and working with actual skin and understanding it. So now they're messing things up, and now they're trying to fix their own mess up, but they're trying to do it quickly because they spent all these thousands of dollars doing these classes. And I hear it all the time, people saying, well, I don't have the money to learn this, so I took that $10 class. That's so devastating for a client to hear that, because when a client is coming to you as a professional, and you have to say you are a professional if you are doing any type of removals, because if you're doing removals and you've been doing microblading for 1 week, come on, you don't even know what your own work looks like healed.
Well, so, I mean, with botched ink training, our online class in the US and Canada is $445. For that, you get obviously the online class. It's 4 or 5 hours of really good information. Plus, we give all the extra support afterwards, and an additional training. We, for free, anybody that's a botched ink technician in this group will know that I'm on it. I keep on giving additional training because this industry is in constant flow, isn't it? And constant changing. In the UK, we do the model class, and that's £845. Hopefully we're going to start this year now COVID's allowing a bit more travel, and people are obviously got Christmas and holidays out of the way. I'm going to start to look for training. We're going to start to do a model class in America and Canada as well, which is going to be brilliant because we've now got a wicked training team to send out there. So for non-laser removal training, you're probably talking for decent training, well, it's less than £1,000, less than $1,000, isn't it? It's $1,000 or less for non-laser tattoo removal training. And the products, botched ink is $40, £30. I could charge a whole lot more for botched ink, because of the quality of everything that we've got in there, but I don't. I could charge £65, £70, $80, $90 for that if I wanted to, because it's worth it. But I'd rather I want the masses to book our training. Yeah. Whereas when you're then talking about laser tattoo machines, who's got a laser tattoo machine? If you could pop in the comments how much you paid for it, or how much you've heard laser tattoo machines cost. Tell us about that, Texas.
So when we look at machines, there was a thing that we were talking about where you can buy machines. We know you can even get a machine on Amazon. I mean, that's crazy. So it's about technology, and the technology is one of the most important things, and what you're using. And I always put it as an equivalent of, like, everyone knows the Mass Tour. It's the machine that everyone gets. Why? It's $89. It's cheap. It's what everybody uses. So, but here's the thing: how many people do you hear have the Mass Tour, and then how many people do you see having problems with it? Oh, mine quit working. My needle doesn't do this. It blew up. Have you heard that one that blew up? Did you hear about that one? That one's crazy. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that was a couple of years ago. And it's the thing is, guys, they're not, a good laser's not cheap, is what I'm driving home. It's not not cheap. So you're looking at anywhere from 75 to 100,000 starting off with. And that could even run even more if you're looking at some of your Picos and things like that. And I'll talk about Pico in just a bit, but it's anywhere from maybe 150 to 200,000 sometimes, depending on the company. So it is quite expensive. But again, so that's why we're seeing so many people doing the Saline tattoo or the lift courses and all the other courses, because they are more affordable. It's way more affordable. I would do it too if I didn't have such a love for science and a love for what I do, and also doing other things with the lasers. I would do it
So
too.
does your laser just do tattoo removal, or does it do other things as well?
No, my laser actually does multiple modalities, and I think it's imperative that you understand that when you're getting into this industry, which is why, again, my student came to me from, she flew in from North Carolina, because she knew she was going to take other courses with us, because I always tell people, if you have a laser that just does one thing, if you're not doing that one thing all day long, that $100,000 machine is costing you money. It's a paperweight, it's just sitting there wasting money. So there are laser companies out there that have multiple modalities. And so I don't just teach with just
There's a quick question that we've just been asked. As a quick thing, what is the difference? Because you told me this yesterday, between Pico and Q switch.
Yeah, so that's a
Thanks,
great
Nancy.
question. That is the number one question that I hear, because you're gonna hear this, and you see this in all the groups now too, and it makes me crazy. Pico. Everyone's like, you need a Pico laser. Let me tell you guys. So it's a different technology and how the machine works. Okay, so with an Nd:YAG Q switch, which is what I have. And I've worked with Pico too, so don't get me wrong. I understand both modalities. With the Q switch, it uses photothermolysis. So it's using a heat too as well. It's a 1064, a 532, and depending on the crystals, it's going to have a 585 or a 695 or what have you to target the different colors, right? That's laser is attracted to color. Okay. So the Pico uses a photomechanical technology. So basically it's faster. So I think it's like from a billionth of a second to a trillionth of a second, which is, it's not that much of a difference. It does, they say that it moves faster and it's faster healing. I haven't seen that. And again, I just don't think there's enough case studies. I was telling Lisa that yesterday. I don't think the technology's there with it. I've seen Pico where I just saw the other day where a lady had, I don't know if you guys saw this in the groups, but there was a lady that had 7 Pico laser brow removal, 7, and still had brows. Guys, I could have got those brows off in one session with a Q switch. So again,
but then also your laser machine does, I don't know the different wavelength numbers, but yours does different wavelengths.
Yes. Yeah.
Like
so it does different colors.
Isn't it right that a lot of tattoo machines, a lot of laser removal machines don't have, only do one?
Well, it depends on the company, but yeah, a lot of them will come with dual modality, which is 1064 and 532, which will target the reds and then target the blacks. But then a lot of them won't come with like your 585 and your 694, which are targeting your blues and your greens and things like that.
So you're talking $30,000 plus machines.
For the laser, for the machines, oh no, the machines are anywhere from 75, and they should come with crystal. Yeah, 75 to 80,000. I believe our Aurora Aesthetic Spectrum, I want to say it was 75,000. So that came with 2 crystals.
Just to get my point over, can you see why only 1 to 2% of permanent makeup technicians do laser tattoo removal?
Yeah, it's not affordable, guys, and I'm always honest about that when I tell people it's not like you can just, it's buying a Tesla, it's going and buying a car,
But if you have a lower price machine, but how can you say a lower price machine when you're still saying several thousand pounds?
Yeah.
But your machine's going to have some limitations. It's you learning what those limitations are. Is that right?
It's the limitations and also the actual technology of the machine, like how aggressive it is. Because again, if you say laser, it's laser is laser. That's like saying car. There's different types of lasers that have different, again, from like your Pico to your Nd:YAG, there's just different types of lasers that have different technology to them. So when you just get a laser that, again, isn't going to have any support with it, not going to have any really information, and I've seen this happen. I've seen this happen with people buying lasers online, even from used companies. I see you, Leanne, you're shaking your head. I see people buying these online things. Guys, I'm going to tell you a story, and this is going to blow your mind too. And I didn't tell you this, Lisa, but when I worked at another facility, they bought a laser, and it was a Luminess. and it was supposed to be this amazing diode and had all the things. And I know laser, and it kept malfunctioning. And I was like, something is wrong with the inside of this laser. So, and I got me, of course, because I'm a tinkerer, I got in there and I took the thing apart and I took the casing off. Guys, the inside of the laser was not a luminesce. We bought it from a company that literally threw something else in it. I didn't even know the brand name of this little motor that was working in there. And I was like, what the hell is this? And I remember taking a picture of it and sending it to my boss. And then she was like, you've got to be kidding me. And so, you know, you don't think about this stuff happening, guys, but this happens online all the time. We all hear about that stuff when you buy stuff on Amazon, that it's old product, like hair products, hairstylists, you know, think about that. You know, I have a friend that bought some Chi hairspray. It wasn't Chi hairspray. It's just things like that. So be very, very, very careful when you're buying these products and who you're buying them from, if you do decide to buy a laser, because again, you know, you don't know where that technology is. You don't know what is in it.
So can I ask people that are in this group at the moment, are you here to find out that you want to train in laser, or are you here to find out more about what laser's all about? Just any comments on that? And because I know, because I got you all to kind of fill out what you already trained in. Thank you.
Oh, there's Kendrika. Hey, Kendrika.
So it's the whole thing about the whole thing with, do we really, as time goes on, more laser specialists are going to be coming into our domain?
Yeah. Absolutely. I think it would be silly for them not to.
Yes, yes, but the training for them isn't in place. That's the thing.
Yeah, that is the kicker. That's again why I put my class together. I wanted to make sure that people understood how to do what they're doing safely, you know.
So here's where we talk about pigments, right? So my quick little thing is, traditional permanent makeup pigments, your iron oxide pigments, are a larger molecule. They're harder to implant. They're more solid and compacted when you need to do corrections with them. And ultimately, you need to do regular annual top-ups, well, regular and annual top-ups. And there's more need to remove to prevent saturation, because otherwise you're going to have a much harder job to correct them, and then you're going to get scarring build up and stuff. And this is where we are right up until about 4 or 5 years ago, when the more hybrid pigments came out and people started using organic pigments more. But permanent laser tattoo removal didn't really get involved with removal of our traditional permanent makeup pigments, did they, Texas?
No.
Yeah.
I wasn't really taught from our companies. No, any companies that came in with any of their lasers, they never had any curriculum for permanent makeup.
But then when you've now got our newer pigments, the new types of pigments, the more organic pigments, the hybrid pigments, they're a much finer molecule. They're in different carrier solutions that make them hold differently in the skin. This is where laser has finally started to come in, because they've actually weirdly recognized that that's probably quite similar to the permanent makeup pigments.
Yeah.
Sorry, to tattoo pigments.
Yep.
So, oh yeah, pigments is a complete minefield. So, isn't it weird that lasers only really now coming in to work on permanent makeup when they've realized that the pigments that we're using are more like tattoo pigments?
Yeah. Well, like I said, I think that it's an influx of the industry. I can't even tell you how many people reach out to me weekly from laser companies that want to come in and find out how I'm doing things. I have people reaching out to me all the time, asking me how I learned to do this. And guys, I learned to do it because I was, again, not taught this stuff. I had to do my own research and do my own case studies and figure out what to do because it wasn't taught. So yeah, I think that a lot of people are starting to realize that, again, permanent makeup blew up, you know, even like in the last 5 years. I mean, we know everybody now has some sort of microblading or something. I walk down the street and I see it. It's just like, before it was like, your old grandma that had the old brows, you know, that were like, they were on there since 1976, you know, and now it's like everybody has them. So these laser companies are catching on and they're realizing, oh, we need to step up too, because
But when you, sorry, jumped in.
yeah, no. And that's again why Saline has become such a big thing too, because we've realized all of these people now are doing stuff, and especially with the pigments being different nowadays, we have some that last longer, some that are fading off. So it's we need to learn how to fix it. And so that's why I think everything's kind of happening. And that's why I think we're right now in the middle of a huge influx of people that are going to, I think in this coming years are going to be removal specialists as
Needing
well.
removal.
I think so.
Removal is the biggest growing trend in permanent makeup. Yeah,
I agree.
as the pigments are lasting longer and longer.
Yeah, I was telling Lisa yesterday that I see more my makeup brush. I see more people now, and even in the last probably, I would say even in the last 8 months, we have seen more people at my clinic coming in for removal than we do even coming in for brows. Like they're not even reaching out anymore to get a touch up. Like they're now saying, I need removal, or I need this gone because something happened. So again, I don't know if it's bad trainings or it's just, you know, people not understanding pigments or whatever technique, but we're seeing so much more of it nowadays. So I think that if you're not offering removal, it would behoove you to do it, to take this seriously and learn this, because you're going to have clients come in your facility and you want to be able to help them. And we now know more about our own industry. Even it's a great time to grow in this industry right now. There's so many great educators out there, and there's so many great pigment lines, and we know now what we can do with them. So working in tandem together with laser and with Saline, we can really help these people.
But the problem that we're now seeing as well with the new types of pigment, as I've already spoken about the black pigment staying forever, but laser can zap that. Saline tattoo removal can lift that out and soften that quite nicely too in a couple of sessions, because it's been barely implanted into the skin. But now you've got the problem with non-laser tattoo removal, is non-color specific. It can work on all colors. But you're now starting to see, as more clients are going to inexperienced laser technicians, that they're coming back with yellow brows, because the laser tech doesn't the laser tech doesn't do saline tattoo removal.
Yeah, that is a problem, guys. So if you do see that, I see that all the time. And in fact, actually someone reached out to me just yesterday asking a question about that. And actually she messaged me because she was getting her own brows removed and she was worried about what would happen if they turn yellow. And I always tell people this: yellow is going to happen, and it's going to happen in layers. Okay. So when you're removing a dark colored brow, say someone coming in with an ashy brow, it's going to remove that top layer. Boom, we're going to get that dark color out, and then it may go red depending on what type of pigment it was. Again, a lot of times the client doesn't know. They don't know what was used on them. So we don't either, right? But we can kind of tell after a while. Then it removes the red. Then we'll see yellow. That's usually the last color we see. Now, the problem with yellow is if it's not a good shaped brow, and this is in one of my case studies, is that I had a lady that had a brow that I don't know if if it looked like two different artists did this lady's brows. One was beautiful, and then one was just, it looked like a hook. It was this way and all the way down. Okay. And I'll probably post this in CTP just so that you guys can see it, because I did it only for my class. But guys, it was really down. She wanted me to cover over it, but the thing is, when we removed all the dark color, it turned yellow. And so that yellow was an awful shape, and I couldn't leave her with a brow that I tattooed over and then this awful yellow around it. So Saline was the only way we can go, because there's certain wavelengths that, again, they just don't hit it. 532 will hit yellow. It will. I've seen it happen. I know it can. And you know, people will say it can't out there, and I know, but then I got video and I got proof that it can, but it takes a while. And so when you get to that shape situation, because if it's yellow and it's a good shape, we can cover over it, right? It's not that bad. It's the last part. But here's the thing: Saline is going to help. It's going to help get that last bit out so that client has the best result later.
But then the other one you were saying to me yesterday is like, oftentimes pigment, whether it be for body tattoo removal, obviously we're talking for eyebrow tattoos here, is caught in scar tissue, because if somebody's had multiple sessions of permanent makeup or an unfortunate bad experience or just a heavy-handed tech, then that pigment that your laser tech is having a go at isn't going to lift. So they're going to be left with a little blob of a darker color.
Yeah,
Or the color that's stuck. So that's get Saline on it.
Yeah.
You said microneedling, didn't you?
Yeah,
I was
let's go there. Let's talk about that real fast. So I had a client that came in just the other day, and I had a beautiful session of laser on her. But we all know we have that dreaded spot, right? That if you get too much pressure, we all know it's thicker skin to thinnest skin, right? We all know that. Shake your heads. Yes, please. Hopefully good. Okay, good. So we know this area is a no-go zone. Yeah. So that the actual, the newer artists sometimes don't realize that they're putting a lot of pressure here, and then they end up putting too much pressure here. And what happens? Now we have that gray or that really dark or really heavy, deeply implanted pigment that now turns that gray ashy color. So what happened with my client, and we talked about it yesterday, which is again why I was like, we're going to switch it and we're going to do 2 different modalities. And I told my client this after I saw it. This whole part of the brow was removed, but the arch to the tail was an absolute blob of a mess, and it was actually encapsulated in scar tissue. And I could tell that the artist went too deep into the skin, and it happens all the time. And it's one of those things that's so unfortunate, because again, even with laser, there's only so much that can be done if something is encapsulated. So think of pigment being in my hand and I'm holding it like this. That laser can't get through this hand. So what do we need to do to get rid of that scar tissue is use dry needling or micro needling, which, guess what we're doing when we do saline removal. Okay. So we can break that tissue up and get that pigment out of that encapsulated area. Okay. So I had to do that with my client, and it was beautiful. It worked.
And one of the things that botched ink is really good at, remember I said no, I didn't say it, but I did. Botched ink doesn't cause inflammation and irritation to do the removal. We actually dry out the skin. So you don't have all that redness and all that irritated, sore looking skin afterwards. So that means we can actually work quite deeply with botched ink, deeper than you normally could. Without having that whole horrible red, I'm talking about your face here, that whole horrible red purpley looking skin that people end up getting.
I was kind of shocked actually seeing your client that you sent in your has anyone taken the botched course? Have any of you taken it? Some of you have. Did y'all like that? Did y'all see that picture? I just was kind of blew away, where the husband took it 6.5 hours after the lady that had her brow. I could not believe how, because guys, I've been doing saline for a while, and let me tell you, I have sent some people home and I'm like, you are going to look busted, you're going to look crazy, you better get some clamp on bangs, cover yourself, you're going to look nuts. That was so fascinating to see that was 6 hours later, and it did not look crazy.
And you can literally, if you're got a chatty client, or you're chatty yourself, you can literally see the brows getting darker in front of you during a treatment. When I'm saying darker, it's not necessarily pigment coming up, it's the skin going brown as it's dried out. So with botched ink, to just quickly jump in with the aftercare for botched ink, you do nothing. You put some Cavalon cream on after 48 hours. When do you ever hear of not having to keep on washing your skin and dabbing it and everything like that a lot of other saline tattoo removal products have you doing, because the skin can get really quite wet and horrible. I remember years ago, I did a lady, she had, I don't teach people how to do this now. We really do just focus on permanent makeup for botched ink now. But with another product, I was doing her neck tattoo. She unfortunately had a couple of names on her neck that she didn't want to have anymore. But she literally said to me with this other product that I was using that she could feel the water running down her neck the next day. How kind of crap's that for hygiene and monitoring it? So I got quite scared, because I like keeping in touch with my clients and everything. And it was knowing these things that made me have to figure out what to do with botched ink to make it not do that.
I got
no one likes to wake up with limpy brows in the morning.
No. And I got a question for you, because my brain just went, when you said you could go deeper with the your brand, tell
Yeah,
us. So you all know that, most PMU artists, we all know we use, but about on our cam, and I'm thinking in machine wise, that we want about a 2.5 to 3 millimeter stroke. We all know what a stroke is, right? Do we all know that briefly? Yes, no, maybe, hopefully. I'm looking at some people here. No, don't know what a stroke is, Whitney? Okay. So the stroke for your machine, guys, is how hard the needle is pushing out of the device. I wish I had one of my machines here. But okay, so think of this. This is my makeup brush. Okay, this is what I used for my face today. So when you look at this guy here, okay, I'm gonna pretend this is the cartridge that's going in the machine, right? Yeah, we're gonna put the cartridge in. Okay, and then there is a little mechanical guy back here called the cam that's right over the motor, and that is pushing through here and then extending your needle. Okay, now if that needle is getting pushed out too hard, I always say, think of like if I had a bow and arrow and I pull it way back, that arrow is going to shoot really far. Yeah, so but if I pull it here, the arrow is just going to fall down, right? It's not going to go as far because there's not as much pressure pushing back and forth. So if your cam is stronger, meaning, like, again, most people don't understand this when they buy the Mass Tour, because I bought that thing and it came with zero instructions, zero anything. I bought it just to try it. Let me tell you, I hate the damn thing. It sits in my closet, or my little closet there at work. But that is a 4 millimeter stroke, so that is a very strong machine for something like eyes, something like lips.
great for removal though.
That's where I'm going. So that's where I'm going. I wanted to ask you, because
Sorry,
we all
I nicked your thunder.
no, you beat me to it. No, but guys, think about that. We're using, like, even like some of the lighter machines, like the Bell R is a 2.1. You can get like a 1.7 stroke in some of them. Yeah, that was where I was going. What would you need to do? So this may change your thought process, guys. You might need to get another machine. If you've only got a machine that has a 2 something millimeter stroke or a 3 millimeter stroke, you might need to get something that is traditionally, because we all know this as body artists, people that were body artists, and I was doing body art way before I was doing permanent makeup, which is crazy, and I'll talk about that another time. But I know that 4 millimeter stroke, and some of them even have up to a 5 because they're stronger, because they have to go through thicker tissue. Yeah. So with you saying that you've kind of changed that, you can go way deeper and do more work, and it's not going to cause as much inflammation and redness.
Because typically with obviously laser does its little thing, and we'll talk about what happens during a treatment in a minute. But with most non-laser tattoo removal, you've got solutions. You've got to do 2, 3, or 4 passes of the product to kind of really work it into the skin. How horrible and uncomfortable is that for your client?
Yeah.
And then you've got to do the most awful thing in the world of putting a soak on, right?
Yeah.
So you've broken up the skin in 3 or 4 passes, and now you've got to put salt on an open wound, right? Not too nice. So what I did with Botched Ink, because I tinkered around with the ingredients, and I've got some ingredients in there that literally make the product sink in so easily that we only need to do 1 pass.
And so you also, in taking your course, you have, it's there. What is the attribute in your chemical makeup of the product that is the vascular constrictor?
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
See, I got you.
Someone just quickly asked, can you use the soft tap method? My answer is no. You can do the hand tool method of pointillism, but the soft tap method, what Botched Ink does that's really cool is it soaks into the skin. Most saline tattoo removal solutions just use aloe vera gel or aloe vera juice or something like that as a neat product. We actually use a 200 times concentrate aloe vera, so that's why it sinks in so quickly. And then because these products make the skin bleed, you then need, any non-laser tattoo removal is going to make the skin bleed somehow. You've then got to make that skin stop bleeding somehow. And a lot of other products use some sort of something that makes the skin go a bit jelly-like. is the easiest way to explain it. But what botched ink actually uses is something that's like a vasoconstrictor. And of course, what do we know that from but numbing cream? Okay.
Epinephrine, right? We all hear, your type
Yeah,
45, your blue gel, your ultra duration. And we know that that helps us during our work. Why? Because it's not bleeding as
it
much, right?
stops the bleeding. So what botched ink uses is we use aluminium sulfate, which is a vasoconstrictor. We also use cornstarch to sop up any oil, right?
Okay.
So you know blokes when they shave, clearly not
Yeah,
you Texas today, right?
I shaved here.
Have you heard of a styptic pencil?
No.
No, cool. So when you got your puppy, if ever your puppy hurts herself, and it's bleeding, you can there's this white powder, aluminium sulfate, styptic, that you can actually dunk the blokes put it onto their face or something to stop the
Okay.
bleeding.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what's in botched ink.
Interesting. I just use tissue paper, but now I'll try that. Oh, that's crazy. So,
Yeah, so
guys,
that's what's in botched ink.
I was doing that class. I was just so fascinated because I'm again a science nerd and I want to know all what's in stuff, and I love hearing that you're telling us why this is different and what's in it. Because that was again something that drove me to really be interested in the product. Yeah.
So and again, so many tattoo removal solutions are getting made at the moment. I mean, what's kind of gone wrong, didn't really talk about it with the training bit too much, but so many people are setting themselves up as a removal trainer. But
No.
you got to say, that whole thing of they've only just learned it themselves, they've never even done treatments themselves. I mean, what I always do, and I suggest anybody does this, if you're going to learn how to do a treatment from somebody, you've got to go and have a look at their portfolio of work, surely.
Yeah, 100%.
To see if they offer this treatment themselves. Because if they don't, I mean, the amount of times over the years we've had people wanting to become a botched ink trainer that haven't even taken the course yet.
Yeah.
That's
wild.
And they're brand new to removal. It's kind of a shame. So the whole thing, where was I? Removal treatments. Oh yeah, we talked a bit about scarring.
Real quick, can I go back to that? Because I do have another question, and I know that maybe people might have this too. Just because you are obviously the founder of this, and I want to hear it come from you. What do you recommend for these people doing the botched ink technique, and what needles would you recommend? Because we talked about the stroke and how they might be able to use a stronger device, but what needles are you recommending for them to do? And then what areas? Because you don't allow eyes and lips, yeah.
Okay, so with botched ink, you can brows, obviously you can work on. Lip liner, you can work on lip liner. If somewhat small areas of the scalp, freckles people are having, the way that botched ink works of drying out the skin so super quickly, it's way too risky to go near the eye.
Got it.
The other products use, like I said, neat aloe vera. We use 200 times concentrate aloe vera, so that's going to soak it's too risky. So kind of don't do it. Body tattoos, I think we're the only removal company that won't teach a standard body tattoo removal. It's way too risky. I've taught it over the years. I've done it over the years. I'm a complete tattoo snob. And if you've got a crappy tattoo, go and get it lasered.
There you go. But what needle though would you recommend though for working on brows?
You're naughty. Most removal brands suggest
well, I won't say brand, not say brand. Let's say like a shade
products types.
Yeah, let's say types.
Suggest a big shader needle. Because they've got to go over the skin so many times, that a big shader needle's not going to do too much damage to the skin. But we actually use a small liner needle, because
that's what I was going to say.
Want to do that one dense pass really, really quickly. And you can completely see if anybody's ever used a shader needle, because they've made, you know, you've got to do too much. If you're using a hard hitting machine and a really tight, small needle, you're going to get that botched ink into the skin so quickly. And it's actually just quite an okay treatment for the clients. Anybody that's using botched ink, just give a quick nod if you know that. Carmen, I know you're here, and Heather. Hello, Heather. I didn't see you there. Sorry.
So, and real quickly, I'm going to talk about that just real fast because I think it's important that you understand. So shaders, in case you don't know what a shader is going to actually be soldered further back on the needle bar. So even if it's a cartridge needle, it's going to come back and it's going to hit the skin like this. It's going to spread, okay? But if you use a liner, those needles are soldered closer. So like if this is the needle, they're soldered closer up so that they're not spreading like this, they're hitting like this, okay? So they're staying closer together. So I use body. I know that sounds crazy, but I use body needles, like things that are made for needles. Like like some of your larger groupies, like your 15s and whatever, because that's going to be where you can get more work done faster.
Well, we had to make our own hand tool for the hand tool techs, because I found that you couldn't get a hard liner. Because when you were getting a hand tool and a liner, all they was flexies. So we've actually got a hard round liner needle, which is kind of so cool. And as well with botched ink, it's all about the stretch as well. We really educate on that. I mean, one of the things that I'm kind of good at is the continued. I've got quite a few extra things to be sharing with our botched ink techs, because I've made a couple of revelations and stuff like that. But what I kind of wanted to, no. So when you've got laser tattoo removal, right, and you've got superficial pigment and you've got deep pigment, how does that make any difference to you for laser tattoo removal?
Well, yes. I always tell people that if the pigment is floating on the skin, so if it's higher up into the skin, and we're having that a lot now because people are understanding that they're understanding skin more. They're not tattooing, barreling it down with a heavy hand, you know, where it's easier for me to get out. Yes, 100% with laser and also with saline. But if you have that deep stuff, it depends on what wavelength you have and then how you can go, because some of it is there's target chromophores with laser, and again there's just a lot of science to that, but there are certain things that can be done, but it is a lot easier if it's superficial. 100%.
So one of the things that again with non-laser, some are more gentle on the skin than others, but where was I? Oh yeah, not that. Yeah. One of the questions that you asked me yesterday, we went through this as a dry run yesterday, by the way. You were saying that some, and it's true, some non-laser removal methods can only remove the superficial pigment. It leaves the deep pigment, which is kind of a bit crap, because that deep pigment's often the really dark black pigment that's caught in scar tissue. So this is where you some people get a bit scared working too deeply. I mean, I always think if anybody with botched ink ever has to take too many treatments to get results, you're not working deeply enough. For the first session, second session, I always kind of think work quite gently, work quite superficially, because you don't know what's in there. And I'm all about do as little as you need to do to get the results, because we're trying to preserve the skin here. If a client's coming for a third session and you can still see that things need to be woken up a bit, then get in there. The client can take it. The healing will be fine. Never work too deeply on a first session, but you know, I kind of always like it to be 1, 2, 3, and then hopefully the client's ready for new brows. The clients that I will always feel sorry for is the ones that have got awful shapes.
Yeah, that is unfortunate. It happens a lot. When you are doing your treatments, what numbing do you recommend? Because you already obviously have a vascular constrictor, and you're going to hear that in other companies, they say don't use a numbing because it has a vascular constrictor. So
Yeah.
I know that's a contraindication to their treatments, which I think is fascinating in your brand, that's not, because again, you'll hear that in other companies. They'll say don't use epi, but you use it. I mean, what numbing do you recommend? Just like a lidocaine, straight across? Just like
So
a
just your Emla cream, your Zenza cream,
okay.
Dr. Numb, or one of those as a closed skin numbing cream.
Okay.
The botched ink actual treatment time, and because we don't have to go over the skin so many times, it's utterly bearable for the client.
Okay.
You never get a client with watery eyes with botched ink. You
Okay.
never get it. Anybody agree that's a botched ink tech? Yeah. I've seen, and I felt for you the other day with that lady. I mean, I know she was crying as well.
The
But
laser,
you
yeah.
know, she was really upset. But you know, when I used to do tattoo removal with salt and saline and aloe vera, or other types of saline removal solutions, gosh, the client's eyes would be watering and streaming.
Mhm.
You do not get that with botched ink, which is kind of really cool. But where was I?
Sorry, I threw you off. I had questions today. She said to have questions, and I have them, guys. I have all the questions.
So botched ink also does a conversion course. It's a well discounted conversion course, to just quickly say as well. Would laser target the superficial pigment first and then go into the deeper pigment, or does it have to get through one before it can reach the other?
So it depends on, again, what laser you have and what wavelength you're using. So most technicians will start off using a 1064, which is a broad spectrum wavelength, which is going to target all colors actually, but it does target the darker color first. So now, that being said, that 1064 wavelength travels a little bit deeper down into the skin, so it can hit both. But I will say that it depends on the skin too. It depends on what's happening with the skin, if there's scar tissue and things like that, because we do run into issues sometimes.
So Texas, please explain, right? You know, when you have a laser treatment, the immediate results when you are looking at a fresh, what do you think of people posting that as a result?
So I always tell everybody this, that so when has anyone seen a laser removal session online? No, Kelly, you're saying no. No, you haven't, Whitney. No, okay. So okay, if you haven't, go. If you're not in CTP, Cosmetic Tattoo Professionals, go and join the group today. Okay, get in CTP. That's my group, Cosmetic Tattoo Professionals. I post videos all the time. So there is something that's called frosting. It is a gas reaction that happens so if I'm trying to remove this pumpkin, yeah. So the laser's gonna hit this guy and it's gonna turn white. All of this black is going to turn white instantly. Okay, that's called frosting. It's a gas reaction from the pigment being hit by the laser. Now, that makes everybody think it's going to go away like that. It's gone. Oh, it's gone completely. It happens all the time. People will post it all the time. These companies that are removal specialists, they'll say, look at this, it's gone.
And I'm seeing that now with eyebrows. People posting eyebrows like it's gone.
No, it's a gas reaction called frosting, and it does come back. The pigment gets kind of trapped in that gas reaction, and it instantly kind of looks like it's lifted and gone. But then what happens is as that skin settles, it slowly rises back up again. So if I were hitting this guy here, it would look white for about maybe an hour, maybe that sort of, and then it would slowly start turning a kind of a brown mucky color and look dark again. So when you see that, a lot of times it's very misleading as a client, because they think, oh, well, that person got that stuff off instantly. It's not instant, guys. It comes back. And I always talk about that with my clients, because again, a lot of people will come in for removals in my facility and they think, oh, well, that person only had one session and look, it went away immediately. It's not immediate. It's going to come back.
So laser can remove red.
Yes.
laser can remove white. Tell us about the white, because
Okay. So
obviously a lot of our permanent makeup pigments, especially for the older type of pigments, sorry, when I say older, I mean iron oxide, especially that if you're looking at a blonde lady, she's probably had a lot of light brown pigment tattooed into her, which means she's got a lot of white in there. Now, I would turn around and say that potentially saline tattoo removal would be your first option, because
yeah.
what has to happen with laser?
Yeah, so laser again is going, it's going in with color. It's going in after the color. So every wavelength that you have for your laser is targeting a color. So that means if there's white, and we know that titanium dioxide is used in a lot of pigments for the opacity, right? To change how light a color is. So if there's titanium dioxide in the pigment, and titanium dioxide can be in both inorganic and organic, just know that. So if it's in the pigment, whether it be lips, whether it be eyeliner, whether it be brows, it's going to turn black. Okay. Now that sounds scary. I know it does, but it can be removed if you know how to work with your device. Meaning, again, if you hit your laser, say you're doing lips, and this happened with a client, and it's a case study I have where a lady had gone outside her border, and she had that, if you go outside the vermilion border, it looks like a Kool-Aid stain. I call it Kool-Aid stain, like your little kids drinking Kool-Aid. So she wanted to remove her upper lip up here. And I did with laser, and I had to let her know. I said, hey, it's going to be a faster turnaround with this, but it's going to look like you have black lips right here for a while. And she's a nurse, so she's like, cool, I wear masks every day to work. No one sees me. It's going to be fine. And she did. She had a black Cupid's bow. And when she came back in for her follow-up, I switched out and went from a 532 wavelength, which target the red. I used a 1064 to target the black from the titanium dioxide. And guess what? It went away. So on her third session, we then did an erbium, which is another type of laser treatment to smooth out her skin, because there was a little bit of scar tissue from the artist. She said that the artist went really heavy-handed, and she did. She had really, really some scarring going on, but we fixed that too. But saline would have been absolutely the way to go if you don't have a laser, for sure, on a white pigment.
But then hear this as well. Texas was just saying 3 sessions.
Yeah.
We're saying 2 or 3 sessions.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I mean, it's all case by case, and I always tell people that you don't stress it.
However, obviously when you do laser, you would do a pair of eyebrows with laser in 5 minutes, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, when you're doing botched ink or removal treatment, you're booking out couch time 45 minutes plus numbing cream and consultation.
Yeah.
So
I mean, laser is
$65,000 plus training, and one's less than £1,000.
Yeah.
$1,000.
I get it.
You know what
yeah,
I mean? So
laser is faster. If you can get it, laser is much faster, meaning it's actually a faster treatment. Like I did eyes. I don't know if anyone saw that, but I posted a video where I lasered off some eyeliner the other day, and I had to insert. Yeah, I had to insert. Oh, it's so cool. I had to insert an ocular lens, guys. It was a metal shield into my client's eyeball. And I know, Vanessa, I see that face you made. So yeah, everybody's like, "Ooh, Texas." But I worked under a plastic surgeon who specializes in eyes, and ocular surgeon. So I'm totally fine with eyes. And let me tell you guys, that was crazy. But again, that treatment probably took me all of 6 minutes. So it is.
When you have a non-laser tattoo removal, and let's say you're using botched ink for simplicity, okay, you are going to have nice brown brows by the end of the night, okay, or a nice crusty brown lip or red lip by the end of the night. With laser, and someone's going to a specialist like you, what's their skin going to look like later that day or the next day?
So it depends again. So if someone has titanium dioxide in their pigment, and again, a lot of times we just don't know until we hit the skin with the laser, they'll be red and irritated, obviously a little bit, just like the saline, but it's much easier heal with laser. I will say that for what I've used in the past. Now, again, botched may be a little bit easier on clients, but from what I've experienced with the saline and any of the other types that I've used in the past, it's crusty, gross, and kind of nasty heal with
You're
them.
You're going to love using botched ink.
With laser, I have no problem. They're a little red and irritated when they leave, by the next morning, they're fine. I always just tell them, you know, they can't wear makeup obviously for 2 weeks. So we want to make sure that we don't get any bacteria introduced to the area that's healing, but swelling for maybe a couple of hours, and then, you know, they're easy, they're good to go. I think the biggest thing that gets people with laser is when we do their brows, and then it turns the hair white as well, because that's like, most of the ladies are like, no, I've got white brows. And I'm like, just get some brow gel in 2 weeks, you'll be fine. And just use some brow gel and you're good to go.
Please explain that again.
Oh yeah, so remember, guys, yeah, if you haven't seen that, watch my videos. It's crazy. So say I'm lasering this brow. Say I'm lasering my brow right now. Let's pretend I have some bad brows, and I laser. Guys, the hair on my skin and right here, this has melanin in it. Melanin gives us our color. It gives us our eye color, our hair color, our skin color. And the cool thing about that is that, you know, it does grow back. So, but it does actually take out the hair color as well. So when we laser it, if you don't, now I use a toothpick, and this is crazy. If you see my videos, I will pull the hair and move it around, and I'm very particular about how I work. So I'll try to get as less trauma to that hair as I can. But there's sometimes I call it, what do I always say? It's a collateral damage. There's going to be some collateral damage in that. You're going to hit some of the hairs, and so they're going to turn white. It does not damage them though, and it does not damage how the hair grows. I can promise you, everyone that hears laser is going to take away my hair and I'm going to be bald. I promise you, you're not. We're not doing enough sessions to remove that actual follicle from
Can I just
hair.
quickly jump in? Saline as well, and any saline that I've ever used has never damaged the hair follicles. Yeah, any.
No.
But I was reading an article about glycolic the other day, and glycolic acid that we're using for tattoo removal. There's a couple of well-known brands out there that are using glycolic. Fee is one of them. Glycolic gets so deep into the skin that it can actually get to hair follicle depth. I'll leave it at that, you know, because it depends on how deeply the technician has to go to get the pigment out, you know. But it's that's kind of scary. So when can you, so with laser, you've got rid of the black, person has to come back to get rid of the red, and has to potentially come back to get rid of another color or whatever. What's the time spacing in between each of those sessions?
So I always tell all my clients that I won't do anything under 6 weeks to 8 weeks, just because I feel like that their body needs to heal. There are stages of healing, and it is a thing. And so when we get people in, and this is also for the actual treatments themselves, when you're doing stuff, you need to heal. The skin needs to be healed completely before you start working on it again. So I'll know more about how their skin reacts after 8 weeks and seeing what they look like. I know that sounds crazy for a lot of people, but it does. I mean, as the client doesn't want to hear 8 weeks, but I always just have to specify it. It's the same as with Saline. I think
what would you say, Texas, about, so say you've had your brows removed, you've only had 1 or 2 sessions of pigment in, you've had 1 or 2 sessions of pigment out, and how long would you now wait to re-tattoo them again?
So
because
I always
I'm saying as standard, when we've had several pigment in and several pigment out, that you need to wait 4 months. But if we can start getting clients in earlier and needing to do less and not needing to work so deeply, I think you can tattoo them again sooner.
I think, well, I always tell people 8 weeks regardless. That's just what I do in my clinic. I feel that, I remember when I first started PMU, I was doing 4 weeks. And so I've been there, done that. So, and I know that
I was taught that too.
Yeah, I was taught that too. That was just how I was taught. And I realized after really understanding skin and knowing skin and becoming a skin specialist, it's not good to do that. It's not good to tattoo someone at 4 weeks, because that skin is still healing at the top part where we have our pigment down here. So if you are tattooing that pigment, it's going to bloom, as we hear, you know, that word bloom. It's going to rise to the surface, but you could be oversaturating. And that's what I think a lot of people do. And when they're new, is they oversaturate because they don't know. Wait longer and you're going to have a better healed result. You're going to see more of what that true color will be.
But
so I tell,
well, to do another removal session that quickly, I wouldn't at 4 weeks.
No,
I was taught to do them at 4 weeks.
Yeah, I think most people probably are. Well, We started, I think, about the same time. And
Mhm.
so I asked, well, actually, no, I think I started actually a little bit before you. I've been in the industry now 16 plus years. So yeah,
Oh my
but
God.
yeah, just a little bit before you. But I remember the four week was what I was taught, and I didn't know any better,
And I did it to a lady, and I ended up causing. She on the think of third or fourth session, and I was doing. I tried to do 6 weeks, yeah,
Mhm.
but
Yeah,
I was making her bleed too much. And then she messaged me back after it had healed, and she said she can feel raised skin. She thought I'd caused scarring on her, and I'd caused excess inflammation. So I kind of just said to her, please, 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 don't put anything on that. Don't rub it, don't massage it. We need that to now settle down and go, because otherwise it will form into scar tissue, you
yeah,
know. But of course I'd lost her then. She didn't want to come back for any more,
yeah.
so now, this is kind of why now I kind of go 8 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks.
There you
um
go. I think that should be an industry standard for most people
yeah,
nowadays in both modalities, putting the ink in the skin and then also removing it. I think 8 to 10 weeks is great. As they age too as well. I do tell my clients, let's say if you have someone that's 60 plus, I'll add another week to it,
yeah.
and just just because again, a thinner skin takes longer to heal, that sort of stuff. So
Emergency tattoo removal Texas with laser.
not going to happen. So it's not safe to laser open skin. Okay, there's bacteria that can be caused. It's again. So going back to like using the Pico and then using the Q switch, there's different technologies that are used in that. So like there's that photothermolysis which is using heat. So it's not safe to work on a brand new tattoo. Meaning, if I had a client that had bad brows at 1 p.m. during the day and they say they wanted to come see me at 6 p.m., I would not use laser on them. I would use Saline. Absolutely,
Mhm.
because that is safe for them. So just know that. So if someone contacts you and says, hey, I want to get laser, you tell them, no, it's not safe. It's not safe
Mhm.
to do that. The skin needs to be healed. If they we all know that with Saline there's a window, right, when you can do it, but with us with laser, I tell my clients I need them to be at least 4 weeks healed, at least four
Yeah,
weeks but I do tell them that if they wait longer, because remember what I just said, at the 6 to 8 week is when you're going to really see that color bloom. If I tell them, if you will wait 8 weeks, it'll probably be less work for me, meaning
yeah.
with laser I won't have to go as aggressive, because that skin will have settled, it will have healed, the pigment will have bloomed and risen to the surface where it's going to be its true color, and I'm going to get to see it, which again the client doesn't want to hear, but that's what
Mhm.
we have to tell them, because they want it off like right now, right? They want it off yesterday,
Yeah.
and that happens, but unfortunately that's not safe, so no.
With emergency removal, non-laser, you're seeing a lot of saline really getting into that, because it's a really good place for us to offer saline tattoo removal. So we normally say 48 hours before the scab has formed, 48 hours. But also in that 48-hour little window, you're dealing with a person who has had this proper mental trauma, looking
Yeah,
at whatever, and they might be making rash decisions about a perfectly good pair of eyebrows, which is kind of not cool. But the thing is, you've also dealing with a person who's actually been dealing with that open wound themselves for 48 hours, and what the hell have they done to it? you know
yeah.
I've heard so many horror stories of what clients putting makeup on their fresh brows to try and hide it and stuff like that, and then we're going to be doing an emergency removal treatment on
Yeah,
them because clients don't unfortunately tell us the truth.
yeah. I've heard
And
lemon juice.
unfortunately,
I've heard all kinds of crazy stuff people put on, like I said, lemon juice, salt. I've heard
yeah.
people putting
Well,
on
I got
like,
someone was told to stick their face up over a kettle so that the kettle steam could
oh my goodness. That's
you
crazy.
know
Yeah. Oh,
but the thing is, I think it's becoming more known about the 48-hour window now, which is a shame, because now I believe clients are telling us that it's 48 hours and it's actually been longer.
that
So we
that
need to use that. We mustn't, yeah, hydrogen peroxide, I mean,
oh
crikey.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
um
wild.
I mean, that 48-hour window is what most tattoo removal products, most saline removal trainers will say to you. But with botched ink, we can actually say something additional. So with botched ink, because we don't use inflammation and irritation, and because we don't cause wetness during the removal process, you can actually do the first botched ink session as soon as that scab has naturally healed off. So in 5 to 10 days, when that scab has healed off, you can actually go in there and do a really gentle botched ink treatment. Now, most emergency removal treatments is literally doing a soak, almost like a wipe and a soak, yeah? But with botched ink, even in the first 48 hours, we can actually really gently needle it in. The reason that other types of saline can't be needled in is because they cause the wound healing response of swollen and wet skin. Botched ink doesn't. Yeah. So it's kind of the whole thing's interesting. It is a shame that more and more people are wanting emergency removal. How many people wanting emergency removal are actually panicking because they've just seen their brows looking very, very different? I mean, I don't, you know, I used to love seeing people. I don't see clients anymore, by the way, just to let you know. Botched ink's my thing now. I see models and I work on models, but I don't actually see clients. But when I used to see clients, when I used to do permanent makeup, I used to love seeing clients with no eyebrows or barely any eyebrows, because I'm a scribbler. That's what I do. I could never do ombre brows and things like that because I can't draw straight lines. I can, of course I can. But I used to like doing all these little fluffy brows. And but you know, so many people now unfortunately go straight in there with makeup on a lady that's not got much, that doesn't normally wear makeup, you know. So putting in full density of brow on someone that's then suddenly going, oh my God, I've got these, I now want them off, they must be off, or they're sitting in the car after a treatment with you and crying into the mirror, you know. I mean, what an awful thing for a person to go through. But of course now as emergency removal, the knowledge of it's just gotten bigger and bigger, more people are jumping into, I want them removed. And you know, how many times as a removal technician have you been asked, oh, you're hearing people being asked to remove their own work?
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, I've had to remove my own work sometimes. I talk about all that stuff too, because it happens. I actually just had this happen where a lady, I did her brows, I think 3 years ago, and she's a blonde and she's got really dark, naturally dark brows. And she had a microbladed somewhere else before, but and this is again, I let her talk me into it. She wanted to go with powder and not microblading. And I told her, well, you still got a lot of ink in your skin, so we're going to have to go darker, which I thought, okay, cool. She's got dark brown eyes or dark brown hair. She then decided she wanted, after seeing me do a lot of removal, she was like, I want mine lighter now. And I was like, oh my gosh. And she was like, they're too perfect. And I was like, what is too perfect? What do you mean they're too perfect? She said they were too dark. And so it happens, guys. It does happen. So even me, and she said no, text, she goes, I love them. She goes, when I'm wearing makeup, they're gorgeous. She's like, but when I don't wear makeup, and she's like, since COVID, I'm not a makeup girl anymore. I don't do a lot of stuff. I work from home. She's like, I just want them lighter. So it happens, guys. It even happens to me. So I like talking about that stuff, because
It's like, you know, when I got my, I mean, I hardly wear any makeup at the moment. I've got a bit of makeup on today. Don't normally wear makeup, right? But I've obviously let my hair go grey. We're both rocking the grey today, Texas.
This is my wisdom right here, guys.
Yeah. So no, when I got my eyebrows tattooed, there's nothing on them at the moment. That's a tattoo. I specifically said to Trisha, she's a botched ink trainer. I said, Heather knows her. I said, please don't make my brows brown. I can't have brown eyebrows.
Yeah.
Because otherwise that's going to look funny on me when I haven't got any lipstick on and stuff like that. But are we having, you know, having these discussions with clients? It's kind of, yeah. So starting to not wrap up, but kind of wrap up, is teaming up with a laser tattoo removal technician? Should you become a laser technician yourself? Should you stick to non-laser only? The answer, do you need to combine treatments? Yeah, from a laser point of view and from our point of view. Well, why wouldn't you if you could, if it's going to be a hard job otherwise?
Yeah. I always
If
tell
it's
people,
going to be a hard job.
yeah, I say, when to answer your question, no, we don't have to do. I mean, if you want to stick with Saline and do that, you can totally do that. If you want to stick with laser, I could totally do that. But here's the thing: if you're calling yourself a specialist, a professional, a whatever you're marketing yourself as in the industry, and you don't offer it, it bodes the question why. Because if it's going to make it easier for your client, then I think, why not? I think that we should. I think that everyone, should at least offer some sort of removal, because I know lots of people that don't, and they do perfect. But I think that you should, especially because, again, we even have to remove our own stuff sometimes, and why are we sitting in that?
Well, I think more and more technicians in the industry are going to end up removing their own work.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because we are now working with pigments that last for ages.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And
that is a crux.
Gray and stuff.
Yeah.
We need to remove some of that black pigment. And if you don't do laser yourself, and you don't personally know a laser technician, you were saying it, Texas, you need to find a laser technician who shows healed permanent makeup results.
Yes.
Not
Healed,
just that immediate.
Yeah. Just like with healed work, from permanent makeup, we all see the before and afters of all these artists online, right? And they look so good, right? And then we see them in 6 weeks, we're like, what the hell happened to that brow? It's all choppy or weird, or it's turned a weird color. The same thing with laser, guys. We need to see healed results. So that's why, again, I didn't just throw my class out there and decide to just make a class on a November Wednesday and put it together. It took me years to build this class, because I wanted to show people these are the stages. This is what it happens. And it's not going to be what you see online at that quick little frosting situation. So
I mean, this is the crap thing about our industry. We're all about smoke and mirrors. Okay, not all of us, but a lot of people are about smoke and mirrors. Like some of the removal solutions that, I love this, some of the removal solutions that are glycolic, you're tattooing it all in, and then they're wiping the cloth and showing you all the brown pigment on their cloth. That's not brown pigment, that's blood.
I was going to say, do you know what that is, guys? That's not brown pigment. They're like, oh, look at this. It's actually the chemical reaction from the blood and the actual glycolic. So someone put it in my group in CTP. Gosh, this is like, me. was it you? Someone put it in there, and I about blew my, I was like, this is so, why do people not think? They think this is brown pigment coming out, and it's not. And I was like, but again, I understand
trickery of us as technicians, as so-called specialists, fall in for that.
Yeah.
The industry, as more permanent makeup technicians start doing laser treatments, and the trickery of only showing the immediate removal result, is going to get us in the future referring to people who within the industry who aren't specialists.
Yeah. Well, I say this: if you can find someone in your area and then do so, but always ask their credentials, and don't be afraid to do that. Ask them how long have they been doing this, and are they a PMU artist themselves? Again, that's why I have people coming in literally from out of state. They will fly in to see me to do removals because they know and trust me. I had a lady the other day that messaged me from Colorado because it's against the law to laser eye there, and she was like, "I want my eyeliner gone," and she had some horrible migrated eyeliner, and I can't wait to see her. I hope she comes in and sees me. But yeah, I mean, you've got to have someone that specializes in the industry in what they're doing. And again, I can call myself a professional. I can call myself a master removal specialist. I do it. That's what I've been doing for the last 9 years of my life and the removals of the world I do. So, again, it's just, I think you should team up, but I think you should also be very leery for your client and who you're sending them to.
So can we, right, as we start to see all these technicians in all the Facebook groups saying, send them for laser, say at least make sure you send them to a laser specialist who understands permanent makeup?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely,
No.
guys. When you see that in there, make a comment underneath it, and you don't have to be ugly or
Mhm.
anything, but make a comment and say, "Hey, is that laser person you're sending them to? Do they understand PMU?" Because
Yeah,
that's all you got to ask. Because I promise you, a lot of them don't. And then when they don't know what's happening with that laser, and then why a color is shifting the way it's shifting, and they don't know how to fix it, then that client is now in a mayday mode. They're like, "Oh my God, what do I do now?" Because this person they sent me to, now they're not going to trust you because you
mhm,
told them to go there. Now they're not
mhm,
going to trust the laser person because they didn't know it. So now we got two problems. And then that client is sitting there like, what do I do? You know, and
yeah,
we got to save these clients. I got into this industry to help people. And that's
ditto.
honestly how I roll. And everybody that knows me knows that's why I do what I do. I love what I do. I love helping people. I love getting people the knowledge that they need. And so I think that it's imperative that we do the right thing by the client and make sure that we're especially with when we're seeing stuff on these type of boards, doing it professionally, doing it nicely, but saying, hey, if you're going to send them to someone, please make sure that they are a specialist and they understand
Yeah.
it.
I mean, industry wise, saline tattoo removal and non-laser tattoo removal is still going to be the treatment that the majority of permanent makeup technicians still offer. Because why would you be treating your client for 3, 4, 5 years doing permanent makeup and then go and send them off to a laser person who you don't even know?
Yeah.
You know, do saline, you shouldn't, you know, keep on top of your clients
Yeah.
when you're seeing them come back, you know, every few years and stuff like that, especially with all, like I said, all the new pigments we're using. Historic clients that have got old saturated brows, you have to feel for them
Yeah.
because we didn't tell them, you know, but the thing is we still ain't telling them.
Yeah. Well, we didn't know what we didn't know back in the day. And I mean, I
Yeah.
remember using stuff that was just, gosh, now I look back on like some of the brands and I won't even name them, but Lord, they were not good. And let me tell you, the education back in the day wasn't good. But, you know, I think that, like I said, we're in a point in our lives and our career where we really need to do what's best for the client. And I think that everybody, I mean, that's why I got into removals, because I was seeing my own stuff that I needed to rectify
And
because
Carmen's just said as well, she's teamed up with a local laser tech.
beautiful.
Um,
Find out what they know about PMU, find out how long they've been doing it too as well, like meaning that they didn't just take a PMU course yesterday and now they're lasering it off. Make sure that they understand what they're really doing and understand pigmentology, and also the skin. Now, in Texas, I will say this is really crazy. In Texas, it's very easy to get a laser license, and it's across the board. Not everyone is me. Not everyone is going to do the due diligence and put themselves through tons of training and just want to know all this stuff. And I'm an education seeker myself. I like to learn.
mhm.
So I always tell people too, just be careful with that too. So when I'll ask the question. Don't be afraid to ask the question, because again, your end outcome is looking for that client's best interest, not just, you know, what you can send them to or whatever, you know?
And it's kind of any botched ink technician that's here kind of knows that I'm in our Facebook group most days. Had a bit of a break over Christmas. But kind of I'm all about advancing all of our knowledge, because botched ink, at the end of the day, I've wanted us to be a brand that we're going large this year. You know, we want clients to be actively searching for a botched ink technician. They already are.
Yeah.
You know, they're already finding have a look at the find a local technician map on our website, and see that gets so many techs get work from that. What might be I mean, this is going to be end up as an article that goes onto the website as well. So it's going to be found even more. But kind of, I'm just aware of time now, so we're going to start to wrap up. So as well, I was going to start thinking of any questions you want to ask us as well, because I'm going to stick you all on camera for the last 10 minutes. So any techs that do removal, this is my takeaways for you. Any techs who offer removal must understand our permanent makeup pigments and eyebrow skin. It's fundamental. They must understand eyebrow skin. I've personally seen, and I've got pictures of it, I think it's on my Instagram, some people, unfortunately, if they've had too aggressive laser treatments, too aggressive, not from your specialist, they can actually heal with indented skin. So I've
Oh
worked
yeah.
on a lady that's got an indented eyebrow. Pretty much all the pigment had gone, but she was left with now a hollow, you know? So stop sending clients out of the industry if you can't vouch for the person that you're sending them to.
So
Yeah.
important. So important. Yep. I agree 100%.
Only refer to a laser specialist that you personally know who understands permanent makeup removal. Botched ink will always be needed, but for bad jobs, you know, and maintaining the work. Botched ink, I would really, really love it if 10, 15 years from now, botched ink was only used for maintenance. It was never needed for bad jobs. Wouldn't that be great? You know, that no one was doing bad jobs anymore. That would be so cool. But final words. So you've got to know us a bit now, right? So we're not just going to randomly leave you. What I'll be doing with everybody is sending you a quick email over the next few days with just our contact details again, and websites and whatnot, and also where you'll be able to find these recordings if you want to play with it, play it again, or if you want to share with your industry fellow colleagues that want to listen to it as well. I think, Texas, you're putting this on your YouTube channel, aren't you?
Yes, I will put this on my YouTube channel at Texas De La Rosa. I started a YouTube channel finally this last year, and I'm posting a lot of stuff. That channel is also going to have my podcast and also a lot of other crazy things. So anything permanent makeup related, our laser will have CTP on it. So that way you know what to look for, because again, it may be makeup, because again, I do a lot of things, guys. I do makeup for film and television, and I'm all over the place. I'm in magazines and doing crazy stuff. So I have lots of clients asking me random stuff. So I decided to put that information out there. But
so tell us about your training.
Yeah. So my training, so our school is called Beauty Cosmetic Institute. We are located in Buda, Texas, which is about 15 minutes south of Austin. And everything that I do, I teach. So I teach laser hair removal. I do IPL, skin, erbiums, tattoo removal. I do permanent makeup, henna, brow threading. I teach microneedling. I teach pretty much vein therapy, hydrofacials, everything, anything skin related, guys. I'm a knowledge seeker, and I've wanted to just learn and expand myself over the years in career. So that's what I teach. So that's my school. And we do small classes. I do not do these large classes. I worked for a company back in my earlier years teaching, and they were a cattle call. It was get them in, get them out. And I felt like there were so many people that took the classes that didn't get the understanding and didn't get the knowledge that they needed. And so when I started this school with my partner, Monica Davidson, I really wanted to drive home that we are very student driven, meaning that when we teach you stuff, you're going to learn it. And I want to make sure you learn it. We're not just going to get you out there and get your money and then send you on your way. That's why I started CTP, was so that my students and then other people in the industry could get help and find information. Even if I'm not in your area, I will find someone for you to help you, because I think that that's what our industry is really lacking. There's a lot of lacking of compassion and empathy with our industry. It's very cutthroat and very rude, and can be really people are afraid to even ask questions in these groups. And so that's why I started teaching, and that's why I started helping others. And that's why I think it's so important. So Beauty Cosmetic Institute is my school. And then just go to CTP, Cosmetic Tattoo Professionals, on Instagram and Facebook, and join the group.
Yeah, your Facebook group's nice.
Thank you. Yeah, I keep it chill, man. There's no rude. Don't be afraid to ask questions. I want the questions out there, because if you're asking a question, I can guarantee you someone else is probably wanting to know that same answer, and we can all help each other. That's what we're here for, right? To help each other.
Yeah. So botched ink, obviously, botched ink. We only sell the botched ink removal solution to our official botched ink trained technicians. The reason I pulled it from public, well, that's just it, from public demand, is anybody was buying it. And unfortunately, when all the training providers exploded a few years ago, quite a few were recommending botched ink on their own training course. Now, why would I allow that when I've got our own really comprehensive, spent years doing it, training course? So if you go onto Instagram at botched ink and have a look at the botched ink info linky thing, you'll see there's a 20-minute free video that's a snippet from our training, and in that 20-minute video I'm probably sharing a load more information than other people are even giving on their paid for courses, because I'm actually teaching you in that 20-minute course how not to do saline tattoo removal. And if you want to learn some more about the nitty-gritty of what I think's going on in the saline tattoo removal industry, and botched ink versus this, that, and the other, like what is so special about botched ink, a lot of it's actually all said already in the free 20-minute video. But come and join us on the expert guide to saline tattoo removal next Monday. There's a link for that. But also, while you're on Instagram, right, please, 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 there is a competition that we're running at the moment, and we got some really good entries to actually win. Thanks, Kelly. To actually win botched ink training. Now, that's you being anywhere in the world, whether you're in the UK, America, Australia, Canada. I think we've got someone was from Panama here today. So we do a conversion course. If you want to tell us why you want to win a botched ink training course, enter the competition. The competition ends on Monday. So have a go with that. That would be kind of really cool. The other thing that we're looking to do next year, hopefully, sorry, that, and what am I saying next year? This year now. Like I said, we're looking to get our training team to go to America and to go to Canada. I think it's going to be America first, to be honest. But I'm really excited to get the classes over there. It's like me and Texas have been talking about that.
Yeah, we want Lisa to come to our facility. My school we have a huge facility. It's be perfect. We're right in the center of the US, so it's easy to get from New York or California, Florida. We're easy place, and then Austin's just cool. Come stay down here with us for a while. We'd love to have you guys down here.
So no, so the whole thing's kind of one of the things that I'm all about, like me and Texas, we've both got very different ways of explaining things. You're very technical. And you use big words. I don't use big words. I don't use big words. And but it's kind of one of the ways that I do the training with us is I'm kind of like filling in all of the dots and the bits of the training information that you kind of wish you'd have been told when you first started out into this industry, like the whole thing with the different types of pigments going on and stuff like that. I mean, there's a couple of online classes that I want to take at the moment to kind of learn a bit more. I said to Texas, I took a class last night and I was kind of, when you do a class and you shouldn't have done it because it was such a good class. And I couldn't hardly sleep last night because I was thinking so much about what I've been told. It's like it blew my mind. So, and it was actually not about permanent makeup, it was about marketing. So really, really exciting times. Who's having a good 2023? Does anyone want to come on and ask any questions or anything? I can take off the spotlight, actually. So remove from spotlight. And how do I get you off the spotlight, Texas?
I don't know.
Me neither. Oh, yeah, there it is.
I am not technically, I use big words, but I can't use a computer. So
can you see us all now? There's about 25 people in here, so that's really cool. Thank you. Thank you for staying so long, everybody.
Yes, I know, guys. I know this is a long one, so thank you guys for spending your Monday morning with us. So, yeah, if anyone has any questions, I'd love to answer some things. So, is everyone afraid to ask. Hi, Whitney. I just see you waving. Heather, I see you. Tanya.
Leanne, hiya. Right. Oh, good. I like everybody waving. Do I need to
Yes.
unmute everybody?
Yeah, unmute everybody. Let's do it. Let's see. Because I got a few more minutes before I got to go take my
Yeah.
puppy to the vet. So
Is this one of your that you have to check? Who's that talking? No, anybody have any questions? If not, we're really happy to wrap up. Oh, go on, Whitney. Ask, can you unmute? There you go. I actually can't hear you.
oh yeah, Whitney, I can't hear you, babe.
Good news is there are a lot of pictures here. So that, like, show us your text messages.
Can y'all hear me by chance?
I can
Okay,
hear who just
I
said
can hear-
something there.
That was me, Shay, from
Oh, I can
Texas.
hear you. Yeah, Shay. I don't know what it is, Whitney.
Okay.
We can't hear you. Do you want to pop
I
it in
sent it-
chat?
Few questions over via chat, but they don't need to be answered now. They can be answered and be sent over via email. That's fine too. It was just random questions throughout the whole.
Who am I talking
chat.
to? Shay?
Yes.
Shay,
Yeah.
did you sign up with the normal link? Or were you given the link?
I signed up with the normal link.
Then you're included in the email.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I just had questions about like different machines and I asked, I had taken a course through Girls Inc. through Lyft.
Yeah.
And I was curious if I were to do the conversion course, if that does that count as a course?
So we recognize the Girls Inc. course is your easy answer. Because in the States, our online course is $445. The conversion course is $245, I think.
Yes, ma'am.
So we want you to have paid more than that discount to recognize a conversion course. So yeah, you'll be able to book on our conversion course with that. Just upload your certificate to show that you've had your Girls Inc. training, or if you have lost your certificate for whatever reason, just upload your proof of purchase.
Okay, it'll probably be proof of purchase because I did it we did it as a group actually during the training.
Cool.
And they only issue one certificate. So, but I can do proof of purchase.
Cool.
Awesome.
And I will say this too, guys. If I highly recommend taking both of the courses. Like Lyft was such a good course, and man, I'm going to tell you, this course with Botched Inc. has been such a cool and enlightened. It's awesome. I've been really happy with it. So I think that this again isn't talking about like one's better than the other, that sort of thing. Me and Lisa really wanted to make sure that we weren't trying to down talk anybody, but Lisa's got such a great course, and I love how you teach. I just love how you teach. You
How do I teach?
You're fun to watch. I think you're fun to watch. I was having a good go at listening to you while last night, so it was great.
Well, that's one of the things that I've been learning. Thank you, Sammy. I've kind of realized that, this sounds really conceited, and I'm not. People like listening to me. So I'm going to need to do more lives and more audio things and stuff.
Yes, you do. I agree. I concur. So Whitney, did you get your question out? Did we see that in chat? Did we look?
Yes. What was it? If the Botched Inc. training can be utilized with the soft tap method? No. Soft tap literally has got the needles on a slope, and you're going like that, and it's the out that makes the suck of the product in, and it doesn't. This is going to sound rude. It doesn't suck it in enough. Because you're only kind of working too superficially.
Now, do you know why, Whitney? Do you know why she's saying that? And this is something that I teach in my needle class, because this goes a little deeper. So there is a reason why, and we're going to stop and go back to pigment. So you're going to learn something if you don't know this, guys. This is cool. So when you are tattooing into the skin, okay, and can y'all see me? I don't know if y'all can see me or not. You can see me? Okay, cool. Because I see you, Lisa.
Thanks, Sammy.
Okay. So when you're tattooing into the skin, we're not injecting ink into the skin, right? We don't have a syringe. Yeah. So we're not not injecting the ink in. What happens with the needle as it's going into the skin, it's pulling back out and it's causing a suction. So that's why a lot of tattoo artists use a glide. They use a glide. I use Hustle Butter. I love it. And they use a glide on the skin because that puts something to where the needles can go slick into the skin and then it pulls out. And the best example of this is if you've ever got your foot stuck in the mud with your shoe and you're trying to pull it out, you know, and it has that kind of that suction thing going on because your foot is stuck. That's the same way that ink gets into the skin, is because of that suction. So that's why soft tap isn't going to work as well, because guess what? You can't get in and go out. You have much more give with your machine. When we were talking about strokes earlier, being a 4mm stroke, you're not going to be able to have that power that you need to get into the skin with soft
But then
tap.
when you're using the hand tool method with botched ink, we have the needle completely at 90 degrees.
90 degree, that's it, because you're
And
going to
we
always go
are
deeper.
stretching the skin super tight so that we need to put hardly any force, because it's a liner, hardly any force on that needle. So the client's hardly feeling anything, but you're actually probably working quite deep.
Yeah. So always vertical, because vertical is going to go down. So that's why soft tap, when you're going at an angle, isn't going to get you where you need to go. So I hope you learned something. Did anyone know that about the suction and how the ink actually gets into the skin? Did y'all learn that? Did anyone know that? No? Did we all feel good about that? Do we all feel like...
So that's another reason why when you're working too slow, you get the compacted pigment in, don't you?
Yeah.
You know, that's why pixels so super fast.
Yep. Slow machine, fast hand movement. I just did a video about this the other day because I had someone ask about that. So cool. So I hope you guys learned some stuff today.
Got another question from Alison.
Okay, yeah.
She does lift, and she's been in the industry 2.5 years. Super interested in the conversion course. Be recognized. I'm an apprentice in Philadelphia. Took the girls in class, but just cool. Send me a message on Instagram about that, and I'll kind of let you know. Anybody that's not sure if we'll recognize their training for the conversion course, just let me know. Just drop a message in. But because you know, you've got all these really low value courses, and we're not recognizing them, unfortunately, because we're just not. And in the UK, yes, if you've taken A+ Ocean training with John Hashey, the answer's probably yes. The problem with a lot of saline tattoo removal training classes is these trainers can get hold of A+ Ocean and Lift and the other products. So they're using these other products on their own training courses. That's why I have to be quite careful in recognizing for the conversion course who trained you, kind of a thing, because yeah, just want to know what you know, and then you'll end up knowing a load more and have a way better product. But again, and if you want to go on to Instagram with the botched ink at botched ink, and obviously we have Texas de la Rosa.
Guys, I had such a great day with you. Thank you guys for being here.
It's been really nice.
I really appreciate all of you guys, your time. I know that time is something that we just don't get back, and so I appreciate anyone giving time for this. I'm always happy to educate, always happy to be here for you guys. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to message me on Instagram. You go to Texas de la Rosa. You can message me on Facebook. You can go to CTP. Highly recommend, again, getting in my group so that you guys can start seeing some of the videos. If you haven't seen my stuff, I do lots of videos.
And you offered something yesterday, which I said, are you sure?
Oh yeah, what did I offer?
If you are looking to learn laser tattoo removal and you want any machine advice.
Oh yeah. Yeah, if any of you guys out there are currently doing laser and are just curious, guys, I've worked with a lot of lasers, and so I worked in a laser school for many years, and so I've worked with many lasers, and I do have a lot of laser rep friends, and so I do have reputable people that I can send you to. So if you have any questions about that stuff, also just don't hesitate to get a hold of me. So,
but it's that whole thing about educating our industry to not just say blanket, laser, laser, laser.
Yep, that's what I'm here for. I want to make sure that all of you guys get good help and good information. So again, thank you guys for all of that, and thank you for your time. So
A random man looking at my door.
oh, you're like, I'm in a class, gotta go.
I'm in my shop at the moment.
All right, guys. Well,
Rejuvi, yeah, I've used Rejuvi before as well. Yeah, there's just so many different products out there, isn't there? And it's all about using a product that keeps the skin in good condition.
yeah,
Or
guys, I gotta roll. I gotta say goodbye.
Thank you, Texas.
But guys, if you have more questions, please let me know. Lisa, this was great. I'll be chatting with you later, Lisa. I'll be chatting.
Yeah.
We'll be chatting.
Right,
bye, guys.
Have a good week. Enjoy your puppy.
Yes. Bye, guys.
See you. Right. Shay, I can hang on for another 10 minutes if anybody wants to jump and ask any questions. That's fine. Otherwise, it's been really interesting, hasn't it? To kind of really see the difference. I'm always one of these people that doesn't mind, it's all about getting the best results for your clients, isn't it? And it's all about sharing. But the bit that's just kind of, I've said it a few times today, the bit that's a shame about so many people in the Facebook groups just saying, oh, they've got to go and have laser, got to go and have laser, got to go and have laser. And as Texas has clearly shared with you, and we know it anyway, most laser techs don't do permanent makeup. And the ones that have had to self-teach how. Has anybody got any comments on that? Go for it. Oh, that's me, by the way, with the white thingy. Oh, there's my dog. Dixon! Oh, he's not interested. He's going out. Right, I'm going to finish, everybody. So that's been such a nice chat. Don't forget, oh, someone's just joining us just as we're finishing. It always happens. Please, if you'd like to know any more, do just message me. Join in the expert guide to saline tattoo removal on Monday. There's Zoom link. Go on, sorry.
I just have a quick question, if you don't mind.
No, go for it.
So what would you suggest if somebody come, she already have like two sessions with laser, but she wants to try watching removal? What do you suggest? Because always suggest with saline first and then laser if they need it, right? But this is the opposite. So what would you suggest about that?
So what you've got to realize when you've had saline laser first, laser has cleared the pigment from the surface and it's drawn it down. The pigment that's deeper, it's drawn it down too, okay? And one of the reasons, as Texas said earlier, that pigment can get stuck is if it's caught in scar tissue deeper down. So what we now need to do with botched ink is work deeper.
Okay.
Deeper than we normally would. Okay. So, sorry, Jane, are you a botched ink technician? I'm just not sure. Yeah, perfect. So with botched ink, obviously we've explained, well, to you guys, and obviously we explained during the Zoom, that with botched ink, we can actually work fairly deeply without causing too much skin trauma, causing minimal skin trauma. But normally for the first 1 or 2 sessions, we like to work really, really gently. But this is now a client that's had a couple of removal experiences. And now we need to get in there and work deeper. if you just do your general botched ink treatment on there, what's going to probably happen anyway is that deep pigment's going to probably get darker, because you're now bringing that pigment that was quite deep in the skin up towards the surface. So all the previous treatments that she's had have made the skin, the pigment go in deeper. But now we're releasing it from any scar tissue and it coming up close to the surface. So what you now need to say to your client is the likelihood is we're going to make that pigment go darker after a botched ink session.
Okay. Because
not a problem, because you then get it lighter the next time.
Yeah. Yeah. What I see on her brows is now the red color.
Cool. So that's could be two things. It could still be pigment, or if the laser tech didn't do the red laser wavelength, whatever it is. But it could also be skin stain. So how you'd find out is like get the client in front of you and just kind of do some stretches over to kind of really stretch the skin to kind of get some sort of an idea whether that's superficial or deeper.
All right.
Yeah, it's a shame when laser techs leave a client with the red, because you don't now know whether it's skin stain or red pigment.
But it can be removed, right? Like with that color.
Yeah. Yeah, because botched ink removes skin stain. Because sorry, for people that aren't a botched ink technician, we explain that when you have old iron oxide pigments, they stain the skin. So the pigment molecules, don't forget, it's some form of a rust, isn't it? That leaks into the skin, you know. So when the pigment molecules can end up being translucent, but the skin's got a color to it now. So what we're actually not doing is pigment removal to remove skin stain. What we're actually doing is skin removal to remove skin stain. And that's why botched ink's then a really good method for doing that, because we can work deeply and we don't cause that trauma, that the inflammation and irritation that most other removal types use to get rid of pigment.
Okay.
Yeah, so the easy answer is botched ink can remove any color and skin stain. It is always a shame when, if someone can go to a laser technician first that knows how to do the full job, great. But essentially stick to the advice of botched ink first, laser second if needed. And I still think, you know, we're having quite a lot in the botched ink group about technicians teaming up, which is kind of quite nice, but it's kind of really hard. I had a technician calling me the other day, or was asking that she approached a local laser technician to see if she could work with her or him, whatever it was. But the person then was asking all the questions under the sun about our permanent makeup pigments, as in he was wanting, or she was wanting, free education. If they aren't willing to go and do a bit of research themselves, you know, and they're charging full money, it's kind of hard. Why should you be the person educating a laser technician on how to work with our pigments? It's a hard one, isn't it? So if the laser technician hasn't already stepped on the road to learn our pigments themselves, that's not the technician that you should be working with. Yeah, because you're after a laser tech who can actually understand our pigments, because otherwise they're just experimenting and charging, and we've recommended them, which kind of isn't too good. Any other questions for us, or any points to discuss?
Thank you, Lisa, for your
No,
answer.
you're really welcome, Jane. Thank you. No, it's been fun today. I've enjoyed that. That was a lot to get through, wasn't it? My notes. He's great, isn't he, Texas? I love the way that he talks. He's so sincere as well, which is lovely. But the bit that's kind of really cool is it's really nice talking to a laser technician who is actually quite open and honest about the laser industry as well, because sometimes you talk to a laser tech and they know everything, you know, but not everybody does, which is kind of the truth of the matter. So thank you so much for today. I'm going to finish. It's 6:30. Enjoy, or 6:30 here. What's it, 11:30 for you? So enjoy your lunch. Thank you, Sammy. Enjoy your lunch, everybody, or enjoy your dinner, everybody. And see you another day. Thank you. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye.